Got you.
And then you don't need your mic on, and you don't need your camera on.
Okay.
We have that mic. And
Got you. And is this one on yet?
Yes. It's
Okay.
connected.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Go ahead and share your screen.
Yep.
Don't end screen. First thing when they're done, you can just remove it. Yes. Because it also matters.
I don't know.
All right, you're ready to go.
All right, bet.
She has the line. That's her. That's just her. Her center.
Oh, that makes sense. And that's it, right? And
Almost.
All right, ready? Hey everyone. So thank you so much for coming today. Number one, wanted to give a huge shout out to the Commit Your Code conference because this conference has been absolutely incredible. So, woo woo, that's right, yes. Appreciate y'all for coming as well today. So I just wanted to make sure, number one, that you're in the right room. We're talking about cloud-enabled biometric data collection. Is that a new normal? If you're in the right place, wonderful. If you're in the wrong place, that's okay. There's no shame, right? Feel free to go to wherever you need, and we will continue and we will proceed. Okay, so also on a more serious note as well, before I get into this talk, I just want to make sure that I pose a small trigger warning as well. So we'll be talking today about instances of interactions with first responders, right? And how it's related more and more to normalized advancements in technology. So that could be triggering to some people and possibly a lot of folks. So I wanted to make sure that if this is triggering to you, please do whatever you have to do to protect yourself. Feel free to leave the room. You can leave the room now, no judgment, right? That's perfectly fine. But I wanted to make sure that you do what you need in order to stay safe and happy, okay? Dope. All right, love y'all. Let's get into it. So first of all, my name is Nia Macklin. I am a senior developer advocate at this wonderful company called Neo4j. So I am a software engineer and what's called a senior developer advocate, which is the blend between software engineering and marketing. Neo4j is a graph database and analytics company that believes in the power of being connected, right? Connected to other people and connected and making relationships that you build with your community. This is one of our core tenets, actually. So when you think about graphs and graph database, you're thinking about nodes and the relationships between those nodes. So that is, like I had mentioned, a core tenet of what we do and how we operate within the world and the technology that we create as well. So sometimes it's really a privilege to be able to speak at and represent a company that that aligns to your core values. So Neo4j is that for me. So I'm very excited and very, very happy that I get to be here with y'all. So, okay, all right. So I come to tech from a non-traditional background. Are there any non-traditional engineers or tech folk in the room? Yes, I love y'all. Okay, so I actually have a degree, and that degree is in Afro and African American Studies, and that taught me not only the lived experiences of my people, but it also taught me the many ways in which those experiences are deeply rooted in our physical bodies, right? And that they show up both in tangible and intangible ways as well. And it gave me the language to articulate some of the ties between our current systems of government, right? The current developments within big tech and the inequities and injustices. Y'all didn't know we getting into it in this talk, okay? The inequities and injustices that are perpetuated and oftentimes exacerbated as well when we ignore those ties. So I was initially not interested in tech at all. Okay, I was not. I'll be honest with y'all. So how many people, when you were 5 years old, for example, when people were asking you, what did you plan on being when you grew up? How many of them said, "Oh, I'm going to be a software engineer at 5"? Okay, we have one. In an entire room full of people, we have one. And kudos to you for knowing. And that's incredible. But you can all see how all of our paths, they diverge and they differ so much towards where we are today. And like I had mentioned, not me, okay? I was one of the people who did not envision myself in tech at all. And that was because, when I was a kid, I would picture, what does a software engineer look like, right? What does a software engineer look like? And sometimes you have to fight the immediate image that comes into your mind. I know I do, right? Because when you asked me this when I was young, what does a software engineer look like? They look like this, right? And this, okay? And this. Come on. So software engineers look like these three up here. I know y'all know these names, okay? So these three, and people who looked like them, were building the latest advancements in tech, and they were making waves, right? Investors are throwing money, right? How much money can we give to these people, right? People, when they're kids, they wanted to grow up to be just like these folk. And so should we give the genius, right? Some of them are self-proclaimed geniuses. Should we give a genius unilateral access and authority, right, over the technology that impacts our larger communities, right, every single day? So a lot of these companies are leading the charge in developing autonomous artificial intelligence. You all know about AI, right? This is huge. And when I'm specifically talking about autonomous AI, I'm talking about artificial intelligence that can perform tasks without direct human intervention or supervision. And many of us are using AI every day. So my question to you is, what are you using AI for today? Shout it out. ChatGPT. Excellent, excellent. Any other ways that you're using AI?
I'm using it for running basic PowerShell scripts to automate some of my work in Azure.
You better. Come on, automation. That's right, making your life easier. That's perfect. Go ahead. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so repeating for the folk who are on the camera, this person was in a car accident a few years ago and used AI to write a story to their insurance providers in order to make sure that they understood what happened in a more clear way. Whew. Okay, I saw a hand over here as well.
Yeah, I have no shame to say, but
yes.
I have a big family.
Yeah.
I'm sending postcards to all of them. I'm not sitting and writing.
Yes, using AI to connect with your family members. How creative is that? Okay. So this is perfect, right? AI can be used in so many creative, fun, and ways that make your life so much easier. And as we can see, right, AI can be used in email suggestions, for example, smart home devices. You say, hey, insert thing here, and it'll answer to you, right? And chatbots as well. And so I want to get into a facet of how artificial intelligence is used, and really the main core of this talk, which is, what are biometrics? So does anyone know, give me an example of biometrics that you would know of? Yes?
So is the identification of individuals based on fingerprints, facial recognition, and voice pattern recognition.
Absolutely, absolutely. So biometrics, right? So biometrics, and let's break that word up as well. So bio, which is short for biology, and metrics, which is short for, it means measurement, right? So the measurement of your biology, biometrics. So it literally means measuring your biology. And so biometrics, as our friend had mentioned as well, measures the shape and placement, for example, of the ears on your face, right? The intricacies of your irises. What does that look like? A scan of your retinas in the back of your eyes, right? Aspects of your face when we're talking about facial recognition technology as well, right? The placement, the shape, and the closeness of your eyes as well, right? The shape of your nose, the shape and placement of your lips, your fingerprints, your gait, which is another word for the way you walk, okay, right? The way you walk. All of these things are frequently used in combination to identify and track who you are, right? So you might use this combination of biometrics too. For example, we have all these up here. Unlock your cell phone, right? Unlocking your cell phone, you can create fun filters, right? This poor lawyer back in the day turned themselves into a cat and had no idea how to turn it off, right? So you can put your fingerprint into your cell phone in order to open your banking app, right? You can use the privileged fast track lines at the airport as well, right? To get through security faster. You can also use iris scans, which are for some of that fast tracking that happens. But all of this is used to verify your identity when you go back to verify your identity. And then lastly, let's see, cash and checks. Has anyone ever used their fingerprint in order to cash a check before? Wow, okay, so that's fine. But we used to go to what was called the check cashing joint or the check cashing store, okay, back in the day when pre-tech, pre-tech money, okay? But you would go to the check cashing store to get your check cashed, right? And it was quite literally called the check cashing store. So great, that's what I said. That's what I said. Literally perfect branding, they knew. So the check cashing store, you would put in your fingerprint, actually, and that fingerprint, you would then put it on the check, and that would then signify that you are the person who have just cashed this check. You're not some random person. But, all right, what is cloud-enabled biometric data used for? So for me, okay, the problem is not necessarily that cloud-enabled biometric data exists at all, right? That's not my issue, okay? So the problem that I believe comes in when various artificially intelligent systems host your biometric data in the cloud, pause, and then, right, synthesize it, use it, store it, and sometimes sell that information to unknown entities, right? That begins the snowball effect of how this is going to impact various people because you don't know how your biometric data is being used. So that's when the problems with biometric data to identify an individual already in itself, we understand that that process is not foolproof, right? And when we take that data and we possibly sell it to others to make judgments, right, for or against me as the individual, we might come into some issues. And so facial recognition technology is just one example of an artificial intelligent biometric system that can be used to create, yes, fun filters, right, and unlock your phone very fast, but it can also be used to harm communities, even when that harm is not 100% purposeful. So yet again, I'm going to do the trigger warning, but let me just, before I even get into that, let me explain to y'all, just in general, how does facial recognition work? So in facial recognition, right, the software, so we have a software, and it's going to create a map of your facial features, right? So it's going to create a map of your facial features, either from a photograph. If you've gone through the airport, they ask you, hey, stand in front of this camera. They snap the picture. They don't even tell you that you can opt out. I do every time. So please, I also encourage you to protect your data and opt out. However, so it's going to take a facial map of your facial features and then create something what is called a facial signature, right? So a signature involves what I had mentioned before, the precise location of the eyes on your face, right? Any scars that you might have on your face as well. The placement of your cheekbones, right? The shape of your nose, the features of your face that tell you apart from the next person. And this information is then stored in the cloud, which again, as we already know, the cloud is, right, someone else's computer, okay? So most simply, right? So then that information is then compared with a database of known faces in order to find a match. Okay, so your facial signature is unique, right? Supposedly. So there should never be any mistakes when it comes to recognizing who you are. Makes sense. Computers never make mistakes, right? Exactly. Yes, the chuckles tell me y'all know. That's ridiculous. That's utterly ridiculous. And so here's some of the research that was done. This is an older piece of research, but I just wanted to make sure that you are all aware facial recognition is not perfect, right? So pictured here are two absolutely incredible AI researchers. If you don't know them, you should already know them, or you should take a picture of this so that you can find this particular paper. But picture here is Joy Buolamwini, who is a prominent computer scientist who at the time of writing this paper was a researcher at MIT and who has now founded the Algorithmic Justice League alongside their colleague Timnit Gebru, right, who's the executive director of the Distributed Artificial Intelligence Research Institute, or DARE, okay? And they both together co-authored a groundbreaking paper at the time. I think this was back in 2018. Yes, 2018. So back in 2018 called Gender Shades, Intersectional Accuracy Disparities, right, in Commercial Gender Classification. And this paper demonstrated that machine learning algorithms can in fact discriminate based on classes like race and gender. And again, this was back in 2018, right, that development was happening. A lot of us started using ChatGPT in 2020-ish, a little bit later, 2021. But this work, it goes back decades, right? So it's not just as new as we might think. And I want to go through the findings of that paper as well. So that paper, which used a pilot parliament's benchmark data set, and so that data set, this data set, it includes parliament members, right? So well-known people, this isn't just random people, but this data set included well-known parliament members and used their faces in order to track whether it could understand whether this was what gender that person was or what race that person was. So this data set took prominent public figures in various countries around the world and used their faces to test whether 3 different, well-known, and highly used, okay, remember that, highly used commercial classifier systems would recognize their demographic and phenographic traits. Y'all already know where this is going, okay? We know that bias exists within these systems, and let's get into a little bit of the data as well. So the findings here, this might look like a bunch of data to you, but let me synthesize a little bit of these findings. So the findings show gender classification performance as measured by true positive rate. We'll see true positive rate, TPP, TPR, right? True positive rate that measured the percentage of the actual positives that are accurately identified, or the error rate, as well as the positive predictive value and the false positive rate as well of the 3 evaluated commercial classifier systems. And so all of the classifiers have the highest error rates when it comes to darker skinned females, right? Ranging from a 20% error rate for one commercial classifier system up to 34.7% error rate, okay? And so what that means is that 34.7% of the time, that facial recognition system is wrongly identifying who that person is. And we can see that that is based on the shade of a person's skin, right? If a person is lighter skinned, they get correctly identified more often. And we'll get into like the impacts of what that has on various communities. But just a couple of summaries as well. All classifiers perform better on male faces in this study specifically. All classifiers perform better on male faces than female faces. All of the classifiers performed better on lighter skinned faces than darker skinned faces. And then all of the classifiers also performed worse on darker skinned female faces as well, right? So these three very well-known commercial classifier systems were already being used in our larger society to identify people's faces, right? And so this becomes an issue specifically when you're using that information to identify someone who has potentially committed a crime, right? We can see the impacts of what that looks like. So, trigger warning again. Picture you are getting your kids ready for school, right? You're having a wonderful day, getting your kids ready for school, and a couple officers show up at your door and tell you that you are under arrest for robbery and carjacking. What are you talking about, right? What? I'm giving a talk, right? Like this is not something that happens. So you might say, okay, you're obviously looking for the wrong person. Like I'm not that person. You've got the wrong person. But the facial recognition software said that you are that person, right? So you've all seen this common anomaly, I guess, where one person commits a crime and then they approach someone else and say, well, you fit the description. Fit the description? Okay, what are you talking about, right? This is the same kind of concept. And it's given more legitimacy because AI, as we think, right, can't do anything wrong, right? But the research, as we just saw, the research shows that it very much can. So for some of us, this is actually not a foreign scene that happens. This is exactly what happened to Portia Woodruff. Has anyone heard of Portia? No, that's perfectly fine, right? So Portia Woodruff, she was 8 months pregnant, right? And she was arrested after false facial recognition match, right? So this happened just like the story. She was the first woman to be known to be wrongly accused as a result of facial recognition technology. And this happened, I believe, a couple years ago. I forgot the exact year. But it doesn't stop, right? It doesn't stop at facial recognition. There are so many other examples as well, right? So we have another one, right? So I'm gonna go over here so I can read them all. So 8 months pregnant, that was Portia. Let's keep going. This does not stop yet again. Another arrest and jail time due to bad facial recognition match. A Jersey man was accused of shoplifting and trying to hit an officer with a car. And he's the third known Black man to be wrongfully arrested and based on facial recognition. This keeps happening. Wrongfully accused by an algorithm in what may first be known as the case of its time, a faulty facial recognition match led to a Michigan man's arrest for a crime that he did not commit. These are all New York Times articles. They keep going, right? They do not stop. This happens all the time, right? Thousands of dollars for something that he did not do, for example, right? It does not stop at facial recognition technology. But yet, like I said, again, what is biometric data used for? Biometric data is often used for fun, and also, when taken too lightheartedly, it can have lasting impacts on various communities if we ignore how it can be used against us. So as a room full of cloud practitioners as well, a lot of us might be asking, okay, so what can I do, right? What can I do about this? I didn't develop that tech, so what can I actually do about this? So several of us, we might even in this room be working for a brand name cloud provider, right? That's leading the charge in hosting, synthesizing, and possibly selling data, or the systems that are built off of that data. And even if you might not work at a well-known cloud provider, it's our job to understand how we can have a role in shaping the very technologies that guide us every day. So a couple key takeaways that I want you all to look into and familiarize yourself with as well. So first of all is thinking about policies like the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. Now this regulation is very, very long. quote unquote. It has 99 specific articles, right? The full text of the GDPR is massive, but it has 7 key principles around data regulation and use. And I think it's important for us, if you haven't heard of this regulation, please do familiarize yourself with it and bring it to your larger team as well, right? So the GDPR is one of the key places where you can learn about and start implementing change within your community and within your job. Also, I want you all to look into the IEE's ethically aligned design principles as well, right? So this is yet another guiding piece of policy that allows you to understand how can we impact artificial intelligence as we're building it and build it ethically and have a say in that. And then lastly, I want you all to think about California's Consumer Privacy Act, the CCPA, as well. So this landmark law, for those who don't know, it secures new privacy rights for California consumers, including 1, the right to know about your personal information, about what personal information a business collects about you, right? Number 2, the right to delete said information from those systems. Number 3, the right to opt out of said system. And then 4, the right to non-discrimination when exercising your rights. So lastly, I want you to leave with always stay critical, right? Always stay critical about the systems that you are using, implementing, and promoting to others, and understanding the ways that it can positively and negatively impact other folks. So a couple last resources I want you all I want to leave you all with. So this is specifically for learning more about artificial intelligence, ethical artificial intelligence as well. This is called Graph Academy. This is Neo4j's complete platform it's all free as well. It's a learning platform that'll introduce you to these concepts of unstructured data, building knowledge graphs with LLMs, all the technical expertise that you're looking for. You can even build a chatbot with Python, and we have one for JavaScript. But these are different resources to get that hands-on training in order to learn more about these concepts that I'm talking about today. And then lastly, we have a giveaway for a drone. So we have the DJI Mini SE or the Neo drone that we're doing, and we only do in-person meetups as well. So if you would like to enter our giveaway, please feel free to snap that. And I also have a slide as well in person that you can snap from it. But lastly, I just wanted to say thank you all. Thank you all so much for coming to this talk and for joining me to talk about data regulation. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate y'all.
That's figuring out. Trying to open the calendar. Can I just type it in?
Yeah, but go ahead and put in this one right here. I'll give it to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Slow Wi-Fi. Oh wait, that's not it. Wait, is that a different one?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I got one I got one in the Google Calendar. Is that different?
Yes, it's different.
Okay.
Make sure you go to this one right here.
What's the
Here's the code.
AYTV by
RWK
K I missed.
63.
Okay.
Oh, I think now you're entering the studio. Nice.
Got it?
Yep. And just share your screen.
Okay.
Could you
And
please?
here's the mic. For the room, if you you want to speak out loud, you can.
Yep.
Or you can use one of these mics up there.
Turn your screen. Oh my god.
Yeah, like 5 minutes.
Because I don't know I don't know if you for heads up without being.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. Just
And there were like a pause in the room, but oh my god.
yeah, I know. Just do your best. Just say like 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And if they run over at 0, then
Yeah.
it's
It's gonna make me restart because it doesn't have permission to share my screen. Oh yeah, that's often happens. Yeah. I'll take it out. Is it how much time do I have? I might need to restart my Mac because it's not. I don't think you need to restart your Mac. I know. Like it's just not opening. Like it's my Mac's problem. It's not a problem with the. Give me like just 1 minute. It's annoying. Should have set it up earlier. Open. Oh, that's true. Almost. Still need to,
Yeah, you can do it. Okay.
yeah. Share. System preferences. So while we get started, I would love to hear from you guys about like what kind of cloud services have you used so far? Have any of you tried out serverless at all? Nice. What have you built so far? Like what kind? Like do you use it at work? Do you use it for like personal side projects? Lovely. Anyone else? You offer it? What do you? Where do you offer?
Database,
Sorry.
serverless database.
Oh, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I love it. I've met your CEO a bunch of times. Awesome dude. Yeah,
Right?
fantastic dude.
Yeah, he's something else.
Talks a lot.
Yes, he does.
That's not the one. Man, so many permissions for everything. Okay, can I share my screen now? Please tell me. There we go. Okay. You see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect.
No.
Now I was asking them. Sorry. You should see it in a bit.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, good to go?
Yeah.
All right. Finally, we made it. 9 minutes. Cool.
Oh, that's Go ahead,
Sorry?
I'll be right there.
Oh, that's what I was missing. All right. So the talk is called, I'm sure you saw it on the schedule, but now you also see it here, Deploying Stateful Real-Time Services to the Edge. It's a little mouthful. I was trying to come up with a shorter one, but I couldn't. Hi, I'm Dev, and I'm a dev. That is actually my name. That's not an abbreviation. I get that question a lot. And yes, the irony is not lost on me. I work as a software engineer at Smart Data. We're a consulting agency based out of Ohio. And I'm also a content creator. So if you like my talk today, you might also like some of my YouTube content and some of my shit posting on Twitter. Sorry, X. So again, serverless, I asked about it earlier. It's kind of awesome. We really like serverless because it allows us to focus on our application logic, what makes our app, our business unique from our competitors, and the things that actually excite us, and not all that boring red stuff. Because a lot of those things are kind of the same between every application that happens to be on the cloud. It takes a lot of time. It's not something that should be hidden from us. It shouldn't be a black box. But we can always dig into those details if we want to. But when we build in a serverless way, those details are not shoved into our face. They're not something that we are forced to deal with all the time. Now, there is a little bit of an operational cost that comes with serverless. But if you can take those time savings and put that into building a better product or shipping faster and getting your features into the hands of your users much faster, then that higher cost is always going to be worth it. But on the complete other end of the spectrum, you can just build monoliths, which are single applications deployed to single instances. It's more familiar. We've been building like that for a while. It gives us complete control of the infrastructure that our application runs on, and it gives us a lot of capabilities that we want. But obviously, there's some trade-offs that we'll get into in a bit. Let's talk about state for a second. There's, generally speaking, there's two kinds of state that we have to deal with when we are building apps. We have persistent state. This is our files, our databases, our cloud buckets, anything like that. This is data that is saved on the disk. It's durable, it has backups, it's redundant. So if something goes down, you still have access to it some other way. And usually you would access this state over a network. Now, if you're deploying to a single instance, you might be accessing it locally. You might have a local file system. But normally, it's over a network. And you have to go over the internet or some sort of local subnet to access that state. In-memory state, on the other hand, lives in memory. It's your in-memory data structures, however you want to represent it. You can access it almost instantly compared to persistent state. But the problem with it is it's ephemeral, it's volatile. As soon as it's the process or the server that the state lives on if that dies, or if it restarts, or if you redeploy with a different code, your state is gone. You no longer have access to it. But there's a lot of reasons why we want in-memory state in our application. It's much faster to access in-memory state than it is to access any sort of persistent state. So you can do a lot of low latency things with in-memory state. It also removes all the concurrency handling things. So you don't have to worry about what a different request or a different user might have done with the state in middle of your request. You don't have things like transactions or locks or any of those fancy database features that you might be using. So from this point on, I'm going to talk about in-memory state as like just state. When I talk about stateful apps or state in our apps, I'm only referring to in-memory state and not persistent state. So I talked about monoliths. Again, the point is that you have access to all the capabilities, which includes in-memory state. And it's also a very simple way to build things and to deploy things. But it doesn't scale. You are limited by the physical constraints of the server that you run your things on. This might not matter to you, to your specific project, your specific business. You might be completely fine with a single server deployment, but it's the limitation of that architecture that we have to acknowledge. On the other side, serverless allows you to scale almost infinitely. There's a lot of success stories of big companies that handle loads and loads of Black Friday traffic on these serverless providers very seamlessly without breaking a sweat. And it's also very simple for the same reasons we talked about. You don't have to deal with those technical DevOpsy things up front. You can choose to deal with them as you want. But you lose access to in-memory state. Suddenly, all your data has to live in these external infrastructure things like databases, like queues, like event logs, or file systems. And it's because serverless tries to be completely stateless. So this is kind of what it looks like. I'll probably switch to a more less exciting, but probably more clear visual here. The point is that the blue is your application logic. This is your code. This is your services. Every time a user hits your one of your applications or one of your application servers, it has to talk to these external databases, external data stores before it can do anything. You don't have any state that lives in your application, which means if I do something here, it first has to go over to my data stores, and your database might be replicated and distributed to handle large data loads. But that's not something you necessarily need to worry about because that is handled within the database or within the provider. But there's still going to be some network latency, not only between your service and your database, but internally within the database distribution before some other user can see what you did. On the other side, we have something that I like to call sharded architecture. It's not an official name. That's something I had to come up with. But the point is that you can have state within your application servers instead of outside of it. So now when I do something here, it only needs to update the external state. But then it also needs to send some messages to all your other services that you might be hosting so that they can update their own state. And then the other users are able to see what you did. Now, when you build your apps like this, first of all, today there's no real way to do this with serverless tools. You have to manage all the state yourself. You have to figure out how you're going to synchronize the state between all of your different servers on your own. And then you also cannot just have all the state replicated to all your servers, which means you probably have to figure out how you're going to break them down into smaller bits that can live on these different servers. And then you need to figure out how they're going to live, like how you're going to distribute them between different servers. And then if you have multiple users that might be looking at the same piece of state, do you send them to the same server or do you send them to different servers, but then there's a latency between them? So the point is that there's a lot of complexity when it comes to building like this, which is why they're not simple at all. It requires a lot of effort to build and scale stateful systems. Just ask anyone who builds multiplayer games or apps like Figma or Notion, anything like that. They will give you both stateful and scalable properties, which is what we want out of these systems. But again, they're not simple to build. So what if we could take all that stateful sharding logic and figure out some way to make it serverless or offer a serverless primitive that encapsulates all of that, just like how serverless functions encapsulate scaling logic? What if we had serverless objects instead of just functions that not only have your behavior, but have your state internal to them. And if you have multiple users that need to look at some piece of state, they simply connect to the same object instead of connecting to the same function. That's the idea behind what I'm calling stateful serverless. Again, it's not really kind of an official name. It's just something I had to come up with. But if we are able to do something like this, we get everything that we want. We have something that's stateful, we have something that's scalable, and we have something that is very simple to build or simple to implement. This is the premise behind Cloudflare Durable Objects. This is a recent product from Cloudflare, and PartyKit is an SDK that's built on top of it to allow building things in a much simpler way. So this is what I'm going to demonstrate today. So here, I'm going to zoom in a bit. Let's remove that. Do I have this running? Oops. npm run dev. So I have a little game that I've built here. It's built with Solid, but it's similar to React. So most of the code should feel and read familiar. Just waiting for this to start running. It usually doesn't take that long. OK, there we go. So this is what it looks like. We're going to create a game room. And it's a simple emoji game where I click somewhere, and my emoji is there. So it'll give me 1 more second before I can click again. So I can keep clicking. And once I have 5 of these in a row, column, or diagonal, I win. That's as simple as it is. I don't have this deployed. I couldn't figure that out in time. But I'm probably going to have this deployed version of this at some point. So if you want to see that, there's also going to be an open source repository with the code. So let's try to see if we can make this game multiplayer. I'm going to quickly go over the code here. First, we have some state. Create signal is basically like use state in React. So we have our board. We have our cooldown, which is 1 second for now. We have the current emoji, which has been assigned to us, which in this case is this palette. We generate a unique ID for when the player joins the room. We're going to assign a unique emoji. We're going to talk more about this in a bit. And this is the function which gets called every time you click on a cell on the board. We're basically just going to check if it's empty and if the cooldown is 0 and if the game is not over already. Let me actually, I forgot to disable this extension. It's very annoying. Disable, please. All right. Give it a quick restart. All right. Yeah. So we're going to get the index of the cell that we have clicked. We're going to set it to the current emoji that's been assigned to us. We're then going to check win, which is going to see if we have 5 of the same in a row, in a column, or diagonal. And if that's the case, we're going to set the winning cells. Like here are the cells that won me the game. If not, I'm going to start my cooldown timer. So in 1 second, it's going to allow me to click again. Down here, this is pretty straightforward. We're going to show a list of players, which right now there isn't any. It's just an empty array because it's not actually multiplayer. If the game is over, we're going to show the victory message. And if the game is not over, we're going to show this timer. And down here, we just have our game board, which is going to show our grid and all the emojis that have been placed in it. Pretty straightforward. Once again, I'm going to go back, create a new room. This time, we have the circus tent. Is that something? That's a circus tent, yes. So once again, if I do 5 in a row, I'm just going to click here again. These are our winning cells. So pretty straightforward. Any questions about the code so far? Or should we start making this multiplayer? All right, let's go. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some message types. So the first thing we need to know is we're using WebSockets because this is a real-time multiplayer game, which means we need to figure out what are the messages that are being exchanged between the client and the server. The first one here is the player joined message. So when a new player joins, we're going to tell the server, hey, I'm a new player. I've just joined the game. And the server might tell us back, hey, this is a new player that has joined. Make sure you show it in the UI. Same thing with the player left. Here's a player that has left the game. This is a player moved message. So this is the player, and this is their emoji, and this is the index or the place in the grid that they clicked on. And here are the winning cells if that was a winning move. And finally, when the first time we join the game, the server is going to tell us, here's the state of the game right now. Here's what the board looks like. Here are the players in the game right now. And here's if the game is already over, you can see those cells. So this is what the server is going to give us the first time we join. So these are just some TypeScript definitions for our messages. The next thing we're going to do is right there. So we're going to use this hook called use party socket, which comes from it's a little bit of a custom implementation, but it's basically this creates a WebSocket connection to our PartyKit server, which we're going to get more into in a bit. It's going to run on localhost 1999, and the core abstraction that PartyKit gives us is this thing called a room. A room is basically how we tell PartyKit which server we want to connect to. Each room is going to have its own private state in the cloud. And if two clients connect to the same room, they're going to see the same piece of state. And every time you change the room here, you're going to get a different piece of state. So we're going to use this ID here from the URL to decide which room to connect to. So if you go to the same URL, you're going to look at the same game room here. And by changing the URL, you're going to a different room. Then we have a function here that handles how every message that comes from the server. So you can see here, we can either receive the joined message, left message, move message, or a game state message. These are the messages that we can get from the server. And we're going to handle these messages here in our client. I'm going to add quickly another piece of state for players and set players, which is an array of all the players that are in the game right now. So down here, we're going to switch over the message type. Now, really, all of this is just normal JavaScript. We're not dealing with any special APIs here other than this room and this party socket, which is just a very small wrapper over the WebSocket web standard. So very simple. When we get a player join message, we add them to our players array. And when they leave, we're going to filter them out of our players array. Straightforward. Now here, when we get the player moved message, obviously, we're going to set that index in our board to the emoji that whatever that player was assigned. If the message also contains winning cells, which means the server decided that the game is over, we're going to set those winning cells so that we can show that on our board. Like, hey, the game is over. Here are the cells that won the game. And obviously, when we get the game state message, which is just set the state, I don't care what your state is right now, we're going to set our board, set our players, and obviously set our winning cells. That's it. So very simple. We have a function that handles all the events, all the messages that we can get from the server over WebSocket. We need to add a couple more things. So we're going to create an effect, which is the same thing as a use effect in React. Thank you, Copilot. So, or Amazon Q in this case. I don't know why I'm still using Amazon Q. Anyways, so when our WebSocket connection is ready, we're going to send a player joined message to our server. That's going to tell it, hey, here's a new player that's joined, and it's going to distribute that to everyone else. The next big thing is our server. So this is what our PartyKit server looks like. This is, again, if your serverless functions are just functions, your durable objects are just classes, and each object itself or each room is an instance of this class. You can see we have an onConnect, onMessage, and onClose. All we need to do is to implement these three. We also have an onRequest. You can send an HTTP request to a PartyKit server or a PartyKit room, but we're not doing that today. We're just doing WebSockets today. So let's get some types in here, which are our game state, and these are the messages that we can receive from the client. We only receive the moved message and the joined message. In here, we're going to initialize some state, which is our game state. It's an empty state of like, here's just the list of players, and then our board, which is an empty array. When we connect, all we're going to do is send the game state down to our newest connection. And when the connection is closed, closed, we are going to find the player that with this connection ID. We're going to remove them from our state, and we're going to broadcast this message, player left. So everyone who's already connected are going to remove that player from their UI. Finally, in our message hook, we are going to parse the message, and we're going to implement 2 other methods that are going to handle these specific messages. In here, player join. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. So when a player joins, again, we're just going to set our internal private state with that message. And we're going to, once again, broadcast a player join message. This one is a slightly more complicated one, which is when a player moves, we are first going to check if it's a valid move. And if it is, we're going to set that cell on the board. We're going to check if it's the winning cells, and we're going to broadcast that player moved message to all our clients. Cool. So that's pretty straightforward. That's all we had to do in our servers was to handle the different types of messages, and that's all we need to do. The final thing we need to do in here is we have our handle cell click on the client side. We need to remove this logic from here and send a message to our server that gives it, that was it. There we go. We need to send our player moved message to our server so that it can actually update the state. Let's get rid of this. All right, let's see if it works now. I'm going to hop over here. Going to refresh, and this still works. Let's open it in a new tab. Let's combine these 2 here. And the one thing I forgot was to send the list of players here in our player list. There we go. So now if I refresh here, you can see that we have the list of players. This one can add a balloon. This one can add a controller. And we can keep adding. We can keep adding a balloon here. And once there's 5, this one sees you won, and this one sees you lost. Now, all we had to do was simple logic on how to handle these messages. And we already have something that can handle hundreds or thousands or millions of users because it gets deployed on Cloudflare. And we already know that Cloudflare scales like crazy. That's all I had for the demo. I just have a couple of slides to very quickly go through, because we have to talk about why this matters on the edge. Well, actually, I don't have time to go through this. But the core point is that this way of building is very nicely compatible with edge compute or edge networks. So that's all that I'm going to talk about. Thank you. And if you do happen to build something like this, please share it with me. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, definitely. I'll be there.
Sweet. I'm not sure you're learning too much, but you don't learn too much.
I hope so.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
That's good. Good. You have to have
Thanks.
like the code you presented. You have like a source file for cost.
Yeah, it's on GitHub. It's called. I can put it like on Twitter or something, but it's my GitHub username /emoji game, so you can write it down.
There was a cloud top prepared for this room that is being moved to the next room over, and the topic for this is going to be a leadership panel about how to be a successful engineer in the market, etc. So you can understand. That's the change just for the 2 o'clock hour.
AGRAWAL09.
Can I get your mic?
Sorry?
Your mic.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
It's more about questions.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
No, it was a technical issue that came up. What was that? It's a leadership panel room. Cloud in the next room and another leadership panel in the big room.
So this is leadership.
Yeah.
Two leaderships. Which leaders are in this one?
I don't know. Testing 1 2.
You just want to talk out loud and use this.
Testing 1 2. Testing. Testing 1 2.
Robocell.
I say we don't even try.
We have that big.
The audio is going to be hard. Having them pass around, I think is going to disrupt the flow of the conversation. They either have the microphone or they just talk out loud. Danny, I can confirm with him, he's fine, not sure.
Well, I'll just leave the mic off through that, so whatever it picks up. Sure. It's been good about picking up the other one. So.
Okay, sure, go for it.
Go ahead. No, it's allergies. I lost my voice yesterday. Remember I was telling you?
I'm starting to lose my voice. But I can't lose my voice before speaking.
I turned it off, but you have to press the button. You're gone. Testing on that. Now I'm going to go check real quick. There's no audio. All right, thank you. One more chair for you guys up here.
No, not that I'm aware of. Do we have one more person?
We had 4 chairs to bring over.
Oh, okay, no worries.
No worries.
I'll sit a little closer to you. There's nothing awkward yet.
You want to shift this way?
Okay, well, we can do that. All right, you guys come closer to me, actually. Yeah. There you go. So we're more in frame.
There we go. Yeah. I like that. Thank you. Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll let people stream in as they come through the sessions. My name is Rob Osell. I'm a VP of Innovation at this Lab. I'll be moderating this leadership panel. Thanks for coming, not knowing what it was going to be about. But first, I'm going to introduce my panelists, and then I'll introduce kind of the topic that we're talking about. So I've got Christian Wall. You want to introduce yourself, Christian?
Christian Waller. I am the CEO of Star Solutions. I actually started a workflow software company in high school. We're now 7 years in. We make most of the law enforcement software in the state of Oklahoma. We're expanding out to other states. And since then, I've gotten to AI development with Docswift AI, which is a company we're building, and now grabbing it all and holding company. We're doing a lot of private equity, rolling up different government softwares and different things like that. So a lot of investment, private equity, and also a lot of software engineering as well.
All right, and Jared, introduce yourself too.
Hi, thanks, Rob. I'm Jerry. I'm a senior director at a company called Data Nimbus. So we have our own practices on data and AI. I used to lead the product team for a while, but basically I've shifted to a more customer-facing role and working closely with our customers.
Yeah, so thanks so much for being a part of this. And so I think the topic that we wanted to talk about today is just, we've been through a very interesting period, a couple different eras, sort of in the tech ecosystem, from before COVID to obviously COVID and remote work to now this environment kind of post zero interest rate sort of era, and now this sort of era of layoffs. And it's kind of shifted a lot about what it means to find a job, what it means to be successful in your job. And so we're going to kind of talk about what that means for people here that have been in the industry for a while, that are in positions of leadership. They're kind of having to tackle these issues and encounter it, at least from the business side, every single day. We have a couple topics that we're going to run through. If there's a little bit of time left over at the end, if you have any questions, we'll bounce it around the panel as well. So to kick us off, I think the first thing is just let's talk about perspective engineers. So as people that are coming to you, as you're seeing resumes come across, as you're consulting or maybe interviewing for people, what kind of things are standing out to you now, and how has that maybe changed in the last year or so versus what it might have been a couple years ago? And Jerry, you want to start us off, especially because you're doing so much in the AI space. I think it's like this weird middle ground of it's still being quite hot, but at the same time, how has things been different for you?
So when we get prospective candidates for a position, the first thing that comes to me is their resume. So your resume needs to stand really apart from the others. And what I really look for is what have you done over and above what was expected of you. So if I'm getting somebody fresh out of college, I skip over their entire what they did in college and I go to the bottom, because that's where they say, here are my hobbies, here is the GitHub repo. I click on the repo and I go see what they have done. That really matters, because for me, that person is a little bit more interesting. That's primarily because of the shift that has happened in the work culture with COVID hitting and people going, working from home, that kind of mode. If you're not that level of interesting, it becomes that bit more difficult to work remotely and be collaborative with you. For me, that matters. What do you bring? What is that extra spark that you bring to the team that matters to me? So I look always for that.
Yeah, and I can echo that too. I think that what we'll ask first is like, I'll actually skip over the resume. What do you care about? What are you working on, right? You just go right to the projects. What are they motivated by? And then also, I think the whole shift around just order taking and being an engineer is just over. I think you're looking for a lot more of like putting their growth hat on, or you can call it quarterbacking, where they're not only taking orders, but in a meeting, they're bringing up bottlenecks in the business that they can fix using AI or some different initiatives they've solved in the past for their companies. And I think that's what gets you through the next interview into getting hired, right? Not just what's on your resume, where you went to school or anything like that, because that people care a lot about that less in recent years in the past.
Yeah, I'll add from my point too that there's two different things to tackle here. One is that when you're in the sort of even pre-filtering phase, nowadays so many companies are using the AI tools and other types of tools that are just keyword searching and doing pattern matching. Taylor's going to have a whole thing later. So if this is something you're concerned about, he can walk you through how to optimize your LinkedIn and your resume to get through those systems. But I think once you've gotten through to someone like myself, someone like Jerry, like Christian, more is not more. Less is going to be way more, right? Like anything that's going to be on your resume, anything that's going to be on the code exercise that you turn in, anything that you actually are going to get evaluated on, it needs to be the thing you want them to see. And so I'll do a lot of like code exercise reviews, and what can be really potent is if you just include like a readme in your code exercise, you can excuse a lot of sins in your code exercise by going, I tried to do that and it failed. I tried to do that and it failed, but I was really proud of this and this and this. And as a reviewer, even if I'm trying to look at the entire thing, it's very difficult for me to not follow what you're telling me to do. And I sort of don't ding you as much for the things you said you knew you didn't do very well, but I really focus and get impressed by the things you wanted me to focus on. And so if you get an opportunity to get in front of somebody, I think you really do want to tell them what you want them to look at, and don't include anything extraneous. Because like Jerry's going to click your links, and if that's not the GitHub repo you're the most proud about, you don't want to click.
No, just one more thing. When you interact with people, I mean, this is especially once you land in your job and you're starting to build your rapport with the team and other things. One thing that I always encourage my team to do is don't come to me with problems. Come to me with multiple solutions that you have come up with and ask me my opinion on it, because that's far more interesting for me, because I get to learn from you. I like to see your perspective on it, because at the beginning of this talk, it's a Rob just said, we are all people. I mean, we've been in the industry for multiple decades at this point. We want a fresh perspective. So if you come to us with more solutions, multiple solutions that you want us to take a look at and give a feedback, that's more valuable. That says this person is moving in the right direction.
I've even sat in meetings with anyone at the Pizza Hut building. I've sat with the CEO of Domino's Pizza before, and there's 20 of us in the meeting where I brought our ideas. He said, throw them all away. I want 20 ideas that would be laughed out of the room. I don't care if I laugh you out or we're going to love it. He just wants 20 new ideas that are going to get laughed out of the room. thinking differently, and I think that's kind of what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, but also don't forget that no matter what job you're applying to these days, like you are, I mean, that inbox is getting slammed, right? Like every job is getting dozens, if not hundreds of applicants immediately after it's being posted. And having had to filter through that, it is exceedingly difficult, right? Like great people don't get through an initial screen just because there's just so many things there. But the reasons why sometimes people get through, it's so weird. Like you just, like if you throw your resume in and you've got a couple sentences, right? Because someone's gonna scan over the intro of your email to get to that link so that they can, whatever, put it in the system. And if you can grab it in those 2 seconds, that's fine. You don't have to be fake or weird, but it's the weirdest reasons why people do it. So if you have a thing that you're nerdy about, sort of Jared's saying, he looks at the bottom of your resume. If you have a thing that you're nerdy about, if you have a thing that you're passionate about, there's a reason why you really wanted to take the shot. Don't be afraid to put it in the email just because it's unprofessional, because honestly, you don't know what's gonna be just notable enough that someone takes the extra second to go like, oh, this is actually an interesting person.
And create the content that you care about and you're nerdy about too, like Dev does with his content and things. I think that you can really tell if someone cares and they want the job, or they're just clicking the apply button and filling something out. I think that you can get past that really quickly from our point of view looking at things.
Sure. All right, so for the people that have jobs now, like I think that has changed a lot as well. The way that you are evaluated at work, the way that your managers look at you. I mean, obviously, just trying to navigate the world of layoffs and everything that's happened with that is difficult enough. But as people are looking to stand out now in their organizations, how is what they need to do different in your estimation, again, now than it has been recently? Do you have any thoughts on that, Christian?
I think just going the extra mile, like you mentioned earlier, just like it's always just like, what have you done for me recently from like a leader perspective, and like, what have you done to not only like impact the culture of the company, but also, fix the bottlenecks, like I mentioned earlier, make innovations, make those wild ideas and make them come true, and just make it happen versus just like I said, taking the orders and, just waiting for someone to come to you or a project manager to come to you, like certain instructions for you. Just go the extra mile, put your growth hat on, make suggestions, have your video on in meetings always. That's like a big thing too, and just be present. And anytime you more, try to be in person if you can. That's like my biggest thing post-graduation.
It's interesting because before this we exchanged notes on what we're going to talk about, and it so happened that I was listening to this podcast where I was listening to Misha, he's the CTO of HubSpot, and he had this very interesting quote about leverage, and that comes from Archimedes that says, "Give me a fulcrum and a lever long enough, and I can move the world." So it's more about leverage. You at a job, you can add as much value as you can or as you could, but you're not going anywhere till you create leverage. And leverage in a good way. You are being valuable to your team, your manager, your colleagues, and you're showing that passion to take that company forward. That gets you forward, because then at the back of the mind, people are like, oh, okay, that's a dependable guy. I can bank on him for anything at that point. And that's going to get you ahead in your career. And that's what you're going to see.
I actually listened to the same podcast and they were talking about, so each year he created enough leverage that he could actually ask and double his salary, and they couldn't get rid of him just because of how much new innovation and software that he knew about, like just like AI now. Where like if you're in the right room, just hanging around the right people, you're going to keep incrementally getting stronger, and they're going to pay you more, right? Like, I don't know, was it 10 years ago or something? It was impossible to find an iOS engineer, and now they're everywhere. But all the iOS guys that were hanging out ended up at Apple or giant shops or giant companies because they just all hung out in the right groups and learned the right things. So I think AI is kind of at the same moment right now.
I'm curious to all agree with this too, though. That like one thing I've noticed is that a lot of companies, especially if they're having issues where they're having to consider, layoffs or something like that, I think the topic goes a lot to what is somebody known for, right? You kind of go through your list of people and you're like, well, that person, they're so great at that. That's what they give this organization. I think when you're in that environment that we were in before, whether it was sort of that zero interest rate environment again, like you keep people a lot on potential. You want to find people that seem to have a high ceiling. Maybe they weren't realizing it yet, but like they could. And you could afford to keep a lot of those people on staff that maybe weren't performing, but they had that potential. And I think nowadays, people are really kind of looking for what is actually the thing that you're good at? What's the thing that you're bringing to the team now? And so I would say that this is like an environment where you don't necessarily want to be known as a sort of the old school, like jack of all trades, master of none. You at least want to be the master of something. You at least want to be, there's at least one thing in the organization that not only that you do well, but that people know you do well. This is not a time to be humble, because if the only thing your managers remember hearing about what you do is the few times that you mess up because you're never selling what you're doing up the management chain, then you really are only known for messing things up, right? And that can be really problematic. So this is not a time to be humble, and it's a time to kind of figure out, like even for yourself, what is the thing that I'm offering the most, and then how can I make sure that I'm known for offering that?
Yeah, I think that goes back to kind of what I said, like turn your video on, be seen, and then just understand your business too, of how you're making the impact, and then display that to your leadership too, just like how you're impacting the business and how your role is really affecting that, and then you'll have the leverage that they almost can't.
And on the same lines, if you, there was an earlier talk by Aaron Francis, he was talking about how you should publish yourself out there. That matters. So everything that you learn, it's okay to just go ahead and write it the way you want it, even if your English or your grammar is not great. Start writing, build that practice, build your brand. That matters. Go beyond LinkedIn, go beyond your professional circle. Meet new people. That connections matter.
Yeah, I do a podcast called Leadership Exchange. In that, I get to talk to a lot of like CTOs, CEOs, engineering managers, and things like that. The thing that I hear repeatedly over and over again, especially in the last year or so, is like demonstrating value. Like, listen, I'm a nerdy developer at heart, right? There's nothing I would love more than just solve arbitrary problems, right? And not have to worry about how it all rolls up to dollars and cents and just get deep into the code. But that's just not how businesses work. And we have to understand that, right? Like, work can be fun, and especially if it's a passion of yours, right? It can be a thing that you're really passionate about, you really want to solve those problems, but it really is a time, more than ever, to be able to say to your boss and to your company, listen, this is the things we care about, and this is what I do, and this is how that connects to that. Because even if you can just show that you understand what the company is trying to drive, and you're making an impact on that, you're light years ahead of a lot of the people who, again, it's not that they don't care, it's just that sometimes the business side of it is like, it's messy. That's why there's managers, right? But nowadays, like, you got to kind of take that ownership. You have to show that you're paying attention to how what you're doing rolls up to value for the company and lock in. That doesn't mean that, again, you don't have to be weird or fake about it. The point is just understand if you could be doing two different things that you enjoy, which of them is better for the team, for the company, for your customers. And if you can show that you evaluated that and you did that, well, then your managers are like, yeah, this person's really locked in. I need to keep them around because in the absence of someone paying attention, I know they're going to be doing the right thing. Okay. Well, we have at least one more topic, but I figured I saw a bunch of nine-heads and interested faces here, so I thought I would just take an opportunity. Is there a question? Does anybody have a question on either of these topics or others? Yeah, sure.
So how do you all enable that that propensity in employees or potential employees?
So as a leader, how can you bring that out in your team? Okay, so the question for those online was, the things that we've been talking about, the things that people should be doing, if you're a leader, how can you kind of draw that out of your employees? Any thoughts on that?
I think some of ours have just got them to start posting things like they care about, whether it's like even public LinkedIn wise or like, start your own blog. No one has to read it but you. Just like write down things you care about, make videos that you care about, and just tell me something you learned this week or something like that, right? I listen to like 8 different AI podcasts, and my first million is a good one with Ramesh and all of them too. And just learn something new every week and tell someone about it. So that's like what I'm trying to do now, but then in the future. We used to have like hackathons and things like that, but now I kind of just like when they naturally just bring things up to me as like bottlenecks, all good ideas, but those are always fun too.
So the way I do it with my team when we grew as a startup was that when somebody comes to me and says, hey, we want to do it, or I want to do this for the team, my first 2-3 questions are like, why, and why? You answer those questions and then tell them, okay, go do it and show it to me. Like encourage them to go down that path and explore and come back with solutions. So that's how I grew the freshers who are in my team, who join us in my team. And once I get the hang of it, then I get this constant feedback and mostly they ping me on WhatsApp saying that, hey, I found this tool, can we use this? Hey, I found this other tool, can we use this? Then we're going down the rabbit hole of evaluating the tool and figuring out if it's possible. And then putting them basically in charge saying that, okay, you found this baby, you go figure it out and tell me what works and what doesn't work.
And listen, as a leader, it can be really easy to think that You don't want to annoy your team members, so you feel like I don't want to repeat the same things over and over and over again. You actually do. You actually need to drill it a lot. Everybody needs it, even the leaders need it, right? Like you need to be hearing the same things over and over again, and that repetition then starts to stick. So I would say the biggest advice I would have for leaders is to lead by example. As you're explaining what you're doing or what you want the team to be doing, tie it back to the objectives and how it's important and how it's relevant and how it will drive results for the company, so that they see that that's how you're thinking and they see that that's how that path is created. And if you lead that way, they will follow that way. And then just keep repeating it. Even if you're like, I've already explained why this rolls up a few times, trust me, they need to hear it a few more times. Yeah. Great question, though. Any other questions? Yeah, sure.
As far as like as AI is concerned, are there any good certifications, or I don't know, maybe things that you can think of that people have had on their resume to like quantify their AI knowledge?
Okay, yeah, let me repeat the question.
Because I know it's like all the sources of knowledge are new as well.
Yeah. So the question for people online was, particularly around the topic of AI, but maybe if you can't speak to that, maybe it's generally credentials. Are there good AI credentials that people should be getting, and or maybe credentials in general? How valuable are they in this kind of environment? So do you want to start first with the AI stuff here?
Yeah, so one of the certifications that we recommend is or the certification path that is coming called Databricks. I think most of you would have heard about it. They have a good certification path around MLOps, data science engineer, ML engineer, etc. That's a good credential to have because those courses are like really thorough and really good. That's something to look at. The other thing, I know you are specifically asking for certifications. We look for certifications, but we also look at what have you done with those certifications. Did you go beyond what the exam that was given there, and did you do something more with it?
Yeah, I was going to say, because Databricks is great, I think a lot of the larger enterprise technology companies like Salesforce and some of those are all going to start to have a lot of certifications around what they're doing. So like for a company you're looking at or applying to or working at, it's good to find out what tools they're using and get those certifications, because that'll move you up in the ladder, the pecking order of just picking you as an employee to work on stuff. But also there's like a lot of free certifications you can get with Google right now that I think are great. NVIDIA honestly has a great one, and you're working directly in their sandbox, which is going to be, the best in breed when it comes to that. And if I see that on a resume that you've worked in the NVIDIA sandbox and understand everything that they offer up to all the newest, chips and tools, then that kind of puts you way ahead of the pack in terms of training and enablement.
It's interesting because the people I've talked to a lot recently have said generally, it's not just AI, just generally certifications don't mean much then when it comes to selecting someone, except for sometimes you just need someone with a certification. In those cases, that's the perfect thing to have on your resume. But in other cases, I feel like 10, 15 years ago it was the case that you just wanted to collect certification because when people would just look and see a certain certification, boom, you're hired. That's it. That's all you needed. I don't know, people have either lost trust in it or maybe just I spend too much time in the JavaScript world. There's not a lot of JavaScript credentials that are very respected, but the people I talk to, they barely look at them these days.
I would say just get knowledgeable on the topic, even more than that, just be able to talk about it, like if you're getting interviewed or anything, just being able to go past just the buzzword of AI is even a big just step forward versus some people that just put it on the resume and then you ask them about it and they can't even string together 2 sentences about it. I think that goes a long way.
Well, we are coming up pretty much here on time. You have one last one?
Yeah. How important would you, actually two, how important would you say networking is to put yourself ahead of say the other hundreds of applicants? And second, would say for instance, personal projects or open source, organic open source projects be a good example of, as you said, using the knowledge that's required from certifications?
Yeah.
I love the personal projects thing. I think that, like we were saying earlier, we'd rather skip over your resume, go to the bottom, click on the thing and see what you're working on and what you care about. So I think that's super important. And then what was the first question?
How important networking is?
I think it's so important these days. I think it's kind of who you know more than what you know. I think going to these kind of things, making friends, starting group chats, anything you can possibly do to make it, get ahead and get in the right room with the right folks is awesome.
Because that reduces,
Yeah.
Because networking helps reduce uncertainty with the candidate, right?
But a little bit of that, but let me explain it this way, and then I'll direct you towards Taylor's thing he's going to do here in a bit. But it's because it gets you through that first screen. That's usually what networking does. So like what he'll tell you is one of the things that you should be doing if you're trying to apply to a company is even if you don't know anybody that's in there, you need to be looking at everybody that's there and trying to reach out to them. Now don't be very mercenary about it. The point is to actually meet people at this company. But the point is that like networking and being able to get your resume to somebody who can walk it past the AI tooling to the actual hand of the first person that will actually read the resume, that's the world, right? Because you went from a pool of 1,000 to a pool of 50. So you survived a 20x down select, right? Just because you knew of somebody. Even if you don't know that person well, but they knew enough about you that they were willing to walk you around to the side door.
Just being able to put a face to the name is huge.
Yes.
Even a nice introduction is easier than seeing your
But
resume.
it usually won't get you the job though.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, it's like the networking will get you the job.
It'll get you to step 1 and not 25, where it's just the AI screening where you're not going to get past.
Yeah, but definitely given the quantity of applications.
Yeah,
Just getting through the first step is huge.
Yeah, like I said, I would direct you to Taylor's thing here in a little bit if you want to hear more. But yeah, no, that's going to be it. So we'll be around. Thanks so much, Jerry and Christian, for being a part of this. We'll be walking around. If you have more questions on these topics or anything else that you want to talk to us, please do. But yeah, thanks so much for coming out, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
You can leave it on the table over there.
The first time meeting someone who listens to anything.
Are you Taylor?
No.
Oh,
I was gonna ask him, I don't know, maybe you wrote it down, the AI certification that he was talking about?
Oh, I mean, I was just like taking random notes. So one of the something he mentioned is like the Databricks MLOps.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, I think he mentioned about NVIDIA Sandbox.
Yeah, I saw that.
So those are two. Are you looking to break into tech as well?
No, I'm already in tech. I was just looking to learn more about AI and have that as a skill set.
I think yeah, those are something that caught my eye. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm currently in a consulting company. They just sort of like
Sorry, I understand about the Oxford Street, but are they recording?
Yeah, they're being recorded. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Specializing in those types of windows.
Excuse me?
Well, the thing is, as I mentioned, they just need to say, hey, do this.
How did that suck on your job search?
So I have to figure it out myself.
Really?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
All right.
So you need you need the laptop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Hey, how's it going? Good. Oh, you getting this one?
I'm not the speaker.
Oh, you're speaking
I
this
wish.
one? Okay.
And I'm just like moderator.
Okay. Good.
I feel like I.
I mean, sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, it's like John, you know, like, you can make I am not. I've heard it. Yeah. It's a great hour.
Yeah. And it's talking about in very simple layman terms, how to play JavaScript now on your and sort of what kind of like What is tomorrow at 4? Like what class? Next one, last year. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. I have 1 year. I have 1 year off on the job search. Yeah.
Oh, wow, there's people there. Fuck. Oh, shit.
I'm proud of you. 7 o'clock.
Yeah. 5 years. Patrick sent me an email from his wife that said building living. Oh, we are.
Oh, yeah. Here.
StreamYard.com. Oh yeah, could you please share your screen? Could you, can you share your screen? Can you please share your screen?
I'm backstage. You guys let me in.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sure.
What's going on? We'll get started here in like a second. We got 2 hours.
Could you please share your screen? Yeah. Oh.
Did you get the mic set up?
Yeah.
Get the mic set up?
Okay, I think I have to. I don't think I have to remove it. I think the mic is set up, right? I need help with the camera though, because like this is not good.
Where you're walking around. I'll just follow you.
I can't sit still. I know it's what do I need to do with this? Like,
Yeah, you're good. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
what about my slides and stuff?
Your slides.
Your slides are showing.
Yeah, you're.
Whatever you're showing, you're showing.
You're sharing your entire screen.
Like,
Do I need to plug it or no?
Yeah, you need to plug it in.
Okay.
we good?
Did you get the mic?
Check.
Yeah, it's the mic.
Check. 1, 2. Check.
Yeah, it's not really sound.
You good?
No way to show.
There's no way to tell.
Because like this is online. So
Yeah. Oh, are we live? Can we ask people to like comment?
Yeah, you can. Oh yeah, you can.
Check.
Say something.
Check. I definitely hear you. Check.
No, it's the mic's coming from. Let me see your mic.
Yep.
Did he give you the mic?
Yeah, he has the mic.
Yep.
Let me see it.
Mic.
Let's scoot over here. Walk with me.
I'll walk with you. Check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2. Check.
A little. I have to turn the volume. I think they can hear, but they have to turn up the volume.
Check 1 2.
No.
Check 1 2. 1 2.
Is it working?
Check 1 2. I like to yell when I present. Thank God for showing. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I thought like 3 of y'all show up. So this is and it's great. Check 1 2. And I'm going to be doing some like live stuff on my computer, so I'm assuming I'm just sharing, like it's already shared, right? So I can just like do whatever on my computer.
Yes.
All right.
I think you might have the wrong one shared though, because what I see on the screen that's shared isn't what you have pulled up.
Yeah, it's like.
Could you just share your entire screen?
Yeah, but he's saying that you're seeing that, and I need like basically my desktop. I need to like share like my desktop because that's my screen right there, and that's what people are seeing. Check 1 2. So like that's what I'm saying. Like this.
You don't want to see that?
Well, no. I need to see just my entire screen. See, look, this is just a web page. See, look, stop sharing. See, look, see, stop sharing. Yeah, because right now it's me, but like I'm gonna need to like share my like. Here, let's do this.
So let's see our studio.
Well, so this is. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. Sweet. So I'm gonna cancel out of that. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Sweet. Like that. Okay. I mean, I know how to use StreamYard. So then present, and then yeah, and then I'll share screen. Yeah. All right. We're good.
Okay.
We're good. Are we good? All right. All righty. Oh, that echo is a little weird. All right. What's going on, y'all? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is going to be, for those of you watching on stage, I apologize. I move a lot, so I cannot sit still whatsoever. So excited for y'all to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share. Hold on. How do I need to share that online. I can share screen. Here, I can do an entire.
Actually, you can share any like tab.
No, I need.
Do you want to share the entire screen?
Yeah, I need to share the entire screen.
Yeah, you can share the entire screen. Just click on it.
All right.
Okay, now let me.
All right. What does that look like? That echo is wild.
Oh, perfect.
Are we good? We're good. All right. Now we start. What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. First off, I want to thank Danny and the team for this. Give it up for Danny. I mean, where's Danny? He's just in here. I want to give him his flowers. Danny, is he here? I don't see him. All right. So, Danny, thank you so much for inviting me and throwing this conference. I want to raise a hands here. Let's be honest. This is a vulnerable space for the next 2 hours. Who in here is like, Taylor, I'm a little tired right now? Oh, let's fucking go. All right, sweet. So my goal is for the next 2 hours is for you to not be tired. And it's going to be really difficult. But my goal is we're going to have some breaks. Anybody else a little hot in here? Is it a little hot? Yeah. So we're tired and we're hot. So That's a recipe for disaster. So we're gonna, I don't know, maybe we like all go outside for a second and like take a breather and come back in. But for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Taylor Desson, and I'm at the head of community at Torque.dev. Torque.dev was just recently purchased by Ronstadt. Anybody in here know who Ronstadt is? They're a gajillion dollar, staffing company. And so I was brought on to head up community for engineers across the globe. And so I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be at this event. I messaged Danny when all this went down, when I saw his post. And I was like, Danny, listen, man, I would love to be involved in any way I can. Because the way Danny posted it, Danny was like, it's a tech conference. And I was like, well, I don't code. Like I don't code. Like literally my problem solving skills are shit. And so you do not need me in front of a computer coding. And so I just messaged him. I said, Danny, listen, like I would love to be a part of this conference in any way I can. And he goes, why don't you just like come out and give like a 2-hour workshop? And I was like, what? Sounds good. So again, like last night was pretty surreal to me. And I never take these type of never take any conferences for granted. I have been a traditional recruiter for 11 years. Now, for those developers in here, like, oh shit, there's a recruiter that's speaking. I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm not going to try, I'm not going to, try to explain the difference between Java and JavaScript. I still don't know. I'm just kidding. I kind of do. And so what my goal is, really for this talk is I want you all to be like rock solid with your job search by the end of this talk. This is a very in-depth talk. I've only given this talk one other time, and I just came up with my outline this morning. So it is going to be a hell of a next 2 hours. I also curse a fuck ton. So if that bothers you, I get it. I grew up in a Southern Baptist household. And so if you do not like cursing, you are more than welcome to leave. I totally get it. But for me, I get really, really, really excited. I get really excited when I speak. So if you do need to leave, it will not hurt my feelings, I promise. So I wanted to give, so this QR code right here is to join Torque's platform. Now, we're not going to spam you. We're actually still trying to set up all of our community efforts in terms of email campaigns and all this jazz. But I want you a part of the platform. So Torque, we are a jobs platform, but we are turning it into a career platform. You're like, Taylor, what the heck does that mean? That basically means is I want for us in my community, and Jason's up here. He's our US lead for community. We want Torque to be like your home, right? Our unofficial slogan is welcome home. I think one of the most terrifying things of the job search is that you feel alone, right? How many individuals in here have gone through the job search within the last year? Raise their hands. Yeah, everybody look around, look around. Oh, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. This is fucking nuts, right? So again, what I want is I want Torque, I want Jason, myself, Brianna Holmes, who's not here. We just hired 2 amazing women out of Mexico and Brazil. We want to be your home base, whether you need a job or not. We are going to develop technical content. We're going to develop job search content. And we are going to be your home base, whether you can check in, you can build connections with individuals. But I think one of the most important things that I want for this community at Torque is to be your home base and connect with others. But before I dive in, I do this with every single talk. Everybody pull out your phones. And again, this is 2 hours. Like, there's going to be some crowd involvement here, okay? Where there's a lot of Q&A. Like, we're gonna get up and like tell our stories. It's going to be a great time. But I want you to open up your phones. Open up LinkedIn. If you don't have LinkedIn on your phone right now, what are you doing? And I want you to connect with the person to the left or right of you for 30 seconds. Real fast. Go. Also, there's a QR code. If anybody know about the QR code? Use the QR code. It's in the search bar. Use the QR code. It helps. We are learning. You're going to learn today. That's great. There you go. Love that. Love that. All right. I just realized I only have like an hour and 15 minutes now, so I'm just kidding. All right, let's wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. All right. So a little bit more about me, and again, I want to talk about. So, does anybody go to Aaron Francis's talk today? Incredible. Like literally, probably one of the best talks I've heard in a very, very long time. There's going to be elements of what Aaron spoke about in my talk as well, because I could not be where I'm at today if I did not post shit to the internet and build community at the same time. I started, like I said, in 2011 as a recruiter. Now, to put things in perspective, I've been recruiting since like jQuery was hot and .NET Web Forms was hot. Like literally, I've seen the internet change over the last 14 years, right? I've recruited through when React was hot. You could spell React and get a huge raise, right? And so I've followed the engineering community for the last really 11 years, and I started to get interested when COVID hit about scaling myself and helping developers at scale, right? Like Aaron talked about in his talk today, I started to get into about posting things, right? I got my first invite to a code camp to speak at Raleigh Code Camp, and I was like, oh shit, I made it. And again, I'm stealing Aaron's talk here because it was so good. Like there's been pivotal moments throughout my career, and I thought I've made it, right? And I got out of recruiting. You don't understand. Typically, when you are in recruiting, it's hard to get out of recruiting, right? Like it's hard to career transition out. And so I'm so blessed to be here as really kind of get into the community growth side of things, especially in the software engineering space. So again, what this talk is, it's going to be a combination of all three talks I have. We're going to talk about, we're about to dive into social media, how to find a job through social media. We're talking Blue Sky. First time I talked about Blue Sky in a long time. Who here is on Blue Sky? Raise your hand. Yeah, a lot of us. Great. This is great. If two of y'all raise your hand, be like, well, this is going to take a little bit of time. And then we're going to talk about LinkedIn. Who in here actually like uses LinkedIn like on a daily basis? All right, great, awesome, fantastic. Yeah, so we're going to talk about how to use social media to find a job, right? We're going to dive into that. The next part of my talk is the power of community. We are not meant to go through this life alone, y'all. We're not. And I think COVID fucked that up for a lot of us, right? And so what the behaviors, what has happened because of COVID is we've become more comfortable watching Netflix than going to a meetup, right? We've become more comfortable staying at home in our PJs. Fun fact, these are PJs right now. These are PJs. We have been more comfortable staying at home in our PJs than putting on our damn clothes and going out and breaking bread with somebody in our community, right? And so what my community talk that we're going to talk about today is I want you to get out of your shell, network with people, build community, and elevate your career. And then what we'll finish off with, which usually is an hour and a half talk in and of itself, is how to ace the interview process, right? Now, here's the deal. There's a lot of great minds at this conference, right? Leon back there. I am very nervous that he's in my talk right now because I respect that guy like a shit ton. And the fact that he's in my talk terrifies me. But like he gets it, right? Like, and here's the deal. Leon will probably have different takes than me. But that's okay. That's why you build community. That's why you have different voices. Right? And also Jordan. Jordan's a recruiter at Ronstadt right here. Come and support me. Jordan, I appreciate you. She's brilliant. She's probably going to have different takes than me. I actually texted her last night. I said, great, someone's going to call me on my shit if I say something wrong, right? But again, talk to her. There's a lot of hiring managers I know in here that probably are going to come at it from a different perspective than me. But again, take advantage of those individuals. So that's what we're going to dive into today. So does that sound good? Does that sound good? Good. If it doesn't, you can leave. It's fine. Also, I do know there are other talks going on. I want to be respectful to all those individuals that are speaking. If you have a talk that you like really want to go to, like, Taylor, I don't want to. It's fine. It's fine. Like I said, the fact that anybody showed up to this, I'm incredibly grateful. But if you want to go speak or go see somebody else speak, fine by me. I promise. I'll just cry later. All right. So social media. Let's go ahead. Did everybody QR code that? QR code. Just sign up. Listen. If you get an email from us, it's literally from me and Brianna Holmes. Anybody heard of Render ATL? Yeah. Brianna Holmes is responsible for all the marketing at Render ATL. When I had the opportunity to hire somebody in the US, guess who I hired? Brianna Holmes. So if you get an email from us, it's going to be from me or Brianna. So feel free to join. We'd love to have you. and we'll go from there. This echo is just awful. All right, so all right, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never used slides before, and I got speaker feedback at Momentum Conference in Cincinnati that I needed slides. I'm already not using the slides properly. So use social media. All right, let's go. All right, so kind of coming to this, I was actually thinking about just creating slides on the go. So people's behaviors have vastly changed when it comes to networking. Everything can be done online. Y'all can read that shit. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn, I'm so, all right, I think LinkedIn, I don't know how y'all code live. This is terrifying, even just using this. All right, so I think LinkedIn is still one of the most slept on platforms out there. You have to understand something. LinkedIn is the only platform that you can get on today, search the company you've ever wanted to work for, and message a hiring manager and potentially strike up a conversation right now. What's one dream company that somebody wants to work at outside of FANG? Yes. Cummins? Great. Did I spell that right? That's not. Is that it? That's not it. Is that it? All right. Right here? All right, sweet. So, and literally, this is part of it. I'm jumping ahead, but this kind of worked out. Again, that's why I can't use slides, because I have ADD. So Cummins Inc., right? What was your name again? Kelvin. Kelvin, you already introduced me with your name. I'm bad with names, even though I've been a recruiter for a long time. So welcome to being married to me. My wife says all the time. All right, so we're going to talk about how to approach networking with somebody at Cummins. Like, literally, you can go on LinkedIn right now. I'm going to basically show you how to do it, so you need to do it this afternoon. I'm going to hold you to it, okay? All right, so what we do is let's go to jobs first. Let's just see what they have, right? All right, let's just say you want to be a BI analyst. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying let's just say hypothetically, right? First off, you see this? There's 28 people that went to the University of South Carolina, which is where I went to college. Go Gamecocks. Yeah? All right, cool. 28 people. All these people right here have gone to University of South Carolina or are associated with University of South Carolina anyway. I will tell you this, 100 devs back there, right? Yeah, clap it up. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Give everybody their flowers in this talk for sure. You have to understand something. People, I don't know how to describe this properly. Leon, maybe you can give me some context, give me some thoughts on this. I really feel like people bond if you go through an experience together. 100 devs is an experience, right? People bond, Shashi, Gridiron Survivor, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Shashi. Is Shashi in here? I'm going to call him out later. All right, Shashi created Gridiron Survivor. I know Ryan's. Who else is in Gridiron? Is anybody else? Yep, Dominic. Yeah. Richard. Yeah. There you go. Experience, right? University of South Carolina. That was an experience, right? College, right? If you message me from the University of South Carolina, I will 10 out of 10 times answer you. Let me ask you this. If somebody was involved in 100 devs and somebody from 100 devs messages you, are you going to respond to them? Yeah. Why? Yeah, it's a shared experience, right? Always, what I tell people is I would go to a boot camp or even college, but still a boot camp because of the shared experience, because of the community aspect, right? One of the most difficult, are we figuring out that echo? Yeah, okay, cool. Is the experience. So what I would do here, right, is I would literally message every single person here. Now, one of the questions I get all the time, Taylor, LinkedIn Premium, yes or no? I say yes. If you're going to use it. What's going on, dude? Welcome. Come on. A fun time. Yeah. Because I think in my perspective, if you are actively looking for a job, give up a few fucking cold brews and use LinkedIn Premium. And this is coming from a guy who loves his cold brew, right? It is incredibly important. But if you don't want to use LinkedIn Premium or the cold brew, obviously I don't need any more. So first thing I would do, Sean, here's what I would do, right? So let's just check University of South Carolina. Yep, he got his BS in chemical engineering. This dude's way smarter than I am. So what I would do is I would do connect, right? Does everybody know this? Am I going too fast? Here's the deal. I want y'all to basically not be afraid to go through the job search after this talk. So if I am talking too fast and you don't understand what I'm saying, please interrupt me. My entire family doesn't. I'm in counseling for it. All right, so add a note. Does everybody know about this? Okay. LinkedIn, is anybody here from LinkedIn by chance? No? Okay. Here's the deal, LinkedIn. The marketing branding aspect of a LinkedIn email is terrible. I have no idea. I don't know about y'all. Anybody get a LinkedIn email and they go, nope. Right? And I learned that really early on from recruiting because it just felt salesy. It felt just like it's just an awful product. I got to fix that, make it more native. So always add a note. So what I would do, hey, Sean, currently speaking at a conference. Saw you went to USC. Go Cox. We're the Gamecocks, FYI. I'm not getting weird. Would love to connect. Send. Right? That's one. Almost died. Next thing, right? So you do that. I would go to Linnell. Connect. Add note. Went to South Carolina. And go down the line. I will tell you how many connects. I think there was, 25? I bet you if I did this, 28 results. I bet I could get 20 people would at least respond to me. Now, here's the deal. You have to be specific in the ask. Most of y'all go, and I get them. Not from anybody here, because I call you out. Hey, Taylor. Bitch, what? What are we doing? Right? I don't have time. I'll text my wife if she goes, hey, Taylor. That's usually I'm in trouble. I'm not going to message you back. Right? Go for the ask. Hey, Taylor, saw your content. Love your shit. Really need your help on this one specific question. Too many of us are scared to go through that. I firmly believe most of you all in here could find a job 10x faster. I'm just making up that number. Let's be honest. If you just actually were intentional in the DMs. The problem is we're all too scared to speak up for ourselves. Now, I think that's a millennial thing, right? There's like TikToks made about this, so I know it's real, right? Is that like we kind of were raised in a household, like I don't know about y'all, but it's like just be seen, not heard type situation, right? A lot of head nods, amen, preach, that'll preach type situation, right? We're like, we just, hi, I'm Taylor. I don't want, I can't, don't want to upset you. Y'all, this is your fucking career we're talking about. You want to approach your career and like the whole like, right? Be confident. Go for the ask. Listen, and also another thing too. Now, the original DM is the original. The original DM, I would still go for the ask, right? Hey, went to South Carolina. Would always love to work at Cummings. Would love to talk with you about our time at South Carolina. Here's the deal. If you can bond and ask the person about not a job, you're most likely going to get a response. What I've realized since COVID is that the people are tired of getting beaten over the head with technical content. And people are tired of talking tech all the time. There's been a little bit of a groundswell within my small tech ecosystem on Twitter and Blue Sky that I've seen is like, man, I'd really love a conference that like has soft skills, right? I love a conference that like, I can talk about, raising a round for a VC, right? I feel like there's this itch to like connect with people on a more human level than just bits and bytes. Now listen, we got to know about the latest version of Angular, Mark Thompson, right? Like we got to know about that shit. But at the end of the day, if I message Sean and be like, yo, what about Shane Beamer getting Coach of the Year, which he did today? I bet you Sean's going to respond back to me. Because we're talking about football, right? How many of y'all like are in like another like F1 community or a soccer community? Yeah, Ryan, which communities are you kind of involved with? Yeah, that's some nerd shit right there. Yeah, right? Yeah, I get the F1 though. You're my man right there, right? That's how we bond. But that's how we bonded. That don't matter. Williams has a few years before they can win. But the thing is like the first time I met Ryan at a coffee shop in Austin in January, we broke bread, aka had coffee. I had cold brew. And literally, we just bonded about F1. We didn't talk about the job search. We didn't talk about bits and bytes. We didn't talk about the latest version of .NET, partly because I don't know any of that. But that's not the point. The point of the matter is that we talked about something non-technical. And so if you can look at people's interests, does everybody know where people's interests are on their LinkedIn? Yeah, they need to fix that. Right? But like top voices, I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan. Anybody here a Gary Vaynerchuk fan? A few of us? Yep, exactly. If you message me about that, it'd be great. I follow Natalie from Wishoff Ventures, right? Love her. I don't know what else is here. Schools, right? University of South Carolina. Scrimba. I spoke at Scrimba a few times, right? My man, right? So again, if you look at that stuff. I truly think, and we'll get to this in a minute about resumes. I think putting hobbies on resumes is actually great now. I used to not talk about it. Be like, no, I don't put that. People don't care. I think people do care now. I think people want that human connection more than they ever have right now. And so highly recommend doing that. I do want to go through your LinkedIn profile real quick. If you, I will tell you this, I know this can be recorded. I would still write this down. So I think it's incredibly important information. All right, first thing I want to talk about, the banner thingamajigger. I don't know the title, the banner thingy, right? Where the picture is. I think it's fascinating that LinkedIn, in a text-heavy platform, has a picture choice at the top of your profile, right? Use this to leverage the individual coming into your LinkedIn. There's a lot of marketing, so I'm going to pull in like a lot of marketing stuff and a lot of dating stuff. I met my wife on Tinder, okay? We swiped right. It's before Tinder got weird, by the way. It's back in like 2013, 2014, right? So basically your LinkedIn is your Tinder profile. Make it look good. You don't want to put an ugly ass photo of yourself if you're trying to holler at a girl or boy, right? This is how it works. So why are you doing that to your LinkedIn, right? So your top banner thingy needs to be something that draws the person in. I use this example every single time. I don't remember the guy's name. If he knew I was getting this many mileage out of our conversation, he'd probably bill me for it. But basically, I did a one-on-one career coaching session with this junior developer. I said, man, just tell me about yourself. I was like, because I just need to know a little about you so we can kind of craft this conversation. He goes, well, I'm currently in the audio engineer. I'm an audio engineer. So that's great. Don't know what that is. But he was like, he goes, well, recently I was the Backstreet Boys audio engineer for one of their recent shows. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's pretty cool. So basically, I was like, well, put that on the top of your banner, right? Does anybody know what Canva is? I think at this point, everybody knows what Canva is, right? Design for Dummies. I seriously think that should literally be their slogan, Design for Dummies. And like literally, he put that up there. Like in text, you can go to Canva. There's like a LinkedIn banner thing section. And he was like, former audio engineer for Backstreet Boys turning software developer, something like that. I'm not shitty. I'm not making this up. I swear to you. He messages me a month later, goes, Taylor, you won't believe this. I said, you got a job. He goes, I did. I go, how did you do it? He goes, a recruiter wanted to talk to me about the Backstreet Boys. Shit works, y'all. This shit works. Now, there's some different flavors of what I talk about, but it works, right? So please make it captivating. Tell me about yourself. Like if you're a chef, right? I don't know, love chopping onions. Right? I hate chopping onions. It cracks me every time. I got to put on like a ski goggle at this point, right? But like chopping onions, I don't know, do something fun, right? I think it's happened with COVID. There's this whole like, there's this wall that was broken between professional, like corporate speak and like the personal side of things, right? We were all in each other's homes. I mean, think about it. We were all doing like Zoom calls with like babies and dogs and plus ones all around, right? And now we're back like in office, like that vibe is still there. So use that to your advantage, right? I think the more personable you can be, especially with your LinkedIn, the more successful you're going to be in the job search. Next thing, profile picture. Be happy. This is not Instagram. Don't be moody. None of this black and white looking over. Anybody with emo kid? I used to straight iron my hair back in the day. I also used to wear guy liner too, which is a whole nother conversation. There is a picture or video of me somewhere out there. Like, be happy, right? I think there's some marketing in play here about how your picture looks. What does it look like, right? I love this. Brilliant Black Minds at Render had the head booth, the picture thing, headshots. Thank you. So Jason's used to this. He works with me, but so like the headshots, right? Headshot booth. I always take it. I think like that stands out. Right now, my wife's a photographer, so I can say this confidently. You could do this like at your house. Just go outside and either take a photo in front of like a crazy background with a plain shirt or a crazy shirt with a plain background. Right? For example, this guy, Dan Thompson. Dan, if you're watching, hello. That picture was shot in my bedroom. That sounds weird. I should preface. Yeah. All righty. I told you it's gonna get weird for 2 hours. Like it's just gonna start saying weird shit. But like Dan, like my wife took that, granted, but it's literally like it's just a white wall, and he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. That's all it is, right? But like, look happy, look pleasant. It's your first introduction of what your potential employer is going to see, right? Like Jordan. I didn't know Jordan before this. I think Jordan's profile pic is happy. She looks nice. And she is. Imagine that. All right. Let's go back. Does anybody have any questions so far? I'm talking a lot. Yes.
So how do you like balance that?
Yeah, so the question is you can only kind of message a certain amount of people. I don't know how it works with notes. If you send a note, but I believe as long as you send a note, I think you can do that a little bit. It's unlimited.
Yeah, you do have there's a limit weekly as to how many connections you can make, however.
Yes, which like it's like 200 people or something like that. So as long as you send the note, that doesn't count against you. Right, so that is what I would recommend. Is everybody have experience with that? Is that confirmed? We got questions about you. It does. Okay. Okay. So I would get premium. Just to be honest with you. And then we're gonna talk about other networking. So we're talking about other ways other than LinkedIn. But yes, LinkedIn makes you pay. But again, I would recommend it. I would recommend it. And also, we're going to talk about why putting out content is important as well because of that. Say what? All right. Wow. That's fantastic. This is why I pay Patrick the big bucks to be with me. Good job, Patrick. I'll give you a raise. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is the title portion. This thing. Incredibly important. Incredibly important. Like recruiters are too lazy. I say that we're lazy. A lot of us are, but we also have too much going on at one time to click on every single profile. So like this needs to be like directly to the point. Junior devs, stop putting junior developer because I immediately disqualify you. And listen, I'm just going to be honest, right? Now, because the whole point is you want the DMs to come in. You want the conversations to start, which we'll get to in a second. But right here, be very specific. Right? But don't give, like, nobody searches CSS. Nobody searches JavaScript. Like, if I'm a recruiter and I need a React developer, I'm going to search React developer, not React and CSS or HTML, right? Put the core skill sets up there, right? If you are a junior developer, you know, I've seen a lot do like software developer, parentheses, React, you know, SQL or whatever. I've also seen people trying to career transition like a software developer targeting X, targeting Y, those type of positions, right? But again, and this is, I want to show you this real quick. If I'm looking for a React developer, I type in React developer, then let's say, and if y'all haven't messed with the filters aren't great, but it's at least something. I'd mess around with them if I were you. And let's say I'd want to do, let's just say Nashville. That's where I'm from. Show results. There's 560 people in Nashville with some sort of React developer in their profile. I don't have time. to sift through 560 people. I just don't. So what I'm going to look at is I'm literally, and again, I'm telling you, like software developer, right? Nashville Software School, great boot camp in Nashville. This is a junior developer. I like when junior developers do this, right? Again, I'd probably tell Austin, no one searches HTML5 or JavaScript. I just put C# React.net, right? Again, let's see here. So again, kind of going through, but that's what I look for. Now, again, I'm not every recruiter, but that is what I've looked for if I'm going to message you.
So broadly, it's like more specialized terms versus more general.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of people put a lot of general terms in there. Like the way recruiters are with Boolean searches is we just if we need to find a back-end developer with Node and AWS, we're going to search Node and AWS, and that's it. So I'd also look at other job descriptions for the types of jobs you want to get and cross-reference that and try to add those terms into your LinkedIn profile. Does that make sense? All right, moving on, because we are having fun. All right, the about section. This right here, listen, you're not going to make or break a job by this, but in my opinion, I think it is important for you to have as much keywords in it as feasible. When I say keywords, I mean technical keywords, because you want to get caught up in the search engine optimization thingamajigger as much as humanly possible, right? Use the featured section, right? Whether you're senior or junior, put stuff there that you want people to check out. Your portfolio, a blog you wrote, right? Aaron's, writing blogs for GitHub, right? Like I'd tell him to put his blog that he's proud of on there, right? Something to where if somebody hits your profile, they go, I want to check out more about Taylor. What are they going to look at, right? So for me, it's the latest Build in Public vlog I have with Torque. It's my job search announcement, and then it's my Build in Public Torque email newsletter. All right, moving on here. Activity section is incredibly important. Be active, be engaged. Also, the activity portion is a great hack to network with somebody in the DMs. Because if you scroll through their activity section, if you hit me up and was like, hey, Taylor, saw you at Danny Thompson's conference last week. How did it go? Props to you for being the only non-technical speaker speaking. I'd be like, okay, cool. What's up? It's intentionality, right? I think what happens in the job search right now is we're so concerned about, I always mess this up, width and not depth, right? We're so concerned about submitting 5,000 applications, and we wonder why 5,000 of them get rejected, right? I literally had a DM. I don't have time to pull it up. It's probably why I got to prep more. But basically, I had a guy message me, and he goes, you weren't kidding, Taylor. He was like, I've submitted, no lie, 500 resumes for jobs I'm 80 to 90% qualified for, and I've had no response back. What are we doing? Like what? Like what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Why do we keep doing the same thing? It does not work. One of my favorite followers on Twitter right now is Random Recruiter. Anybody know who Random Recruiter is on Twitter? Incredible. Now that I've kind of gone away from the job search, just day-to-day content, highly recommend following him. Shout out Jason for getting him. Torque, we're putting together a job search panel. Me, Kelly Vaughn, Random Recruiter. Who else is going to be on it? And the Job Father. Jermaine's going to be on there too. We're going to be hosting that panel in January. That's a banger of a panel. Shout out Jason putting that together. But again, right here, it's like also, I have some people. Matt or Tim, you in here? You DMing me? Yeah, let's go. Let's go. There you go. So again, be intentional. Go through people's activities. Prime example, one of my buddies, Connor Bush. Connor is in Nashville. He was at Evernote. He wanted to work at Netflix. He told me what he was doing is he would go to Netflix. He would search Netflix on LinkedIn, go to their engineering managers, go to every single engineering manager's activity section, find a post that they posted, and message them referencing something that they posted that they were trying to implement in Evernote. About 30 DMs later, he had one respond back. After 14 conversations, he now has a job at Netflix. Again, I'm not making this shit up. It's what it does. This is why I'm so passionate about having this conversation with you all, because this is the shit that changes your career. This. But again, it's a mind fuck because we as society think activity is the same as productivity. It is not, right? You may only literally message 5 people in a week, 1 a day, and you're like, Taylor, I'm not doing anything. No, you are. That's the thing. And that is what I want to get into y'all's skulls today, is that if you leave here, I want you to be like, all right, it's not about activity, right? It's about doing the small things. It's about messages, about being intentional. It's about crafting a message to where that person's going to respond, right? Which is why I'm so passionate about email marketing. If you follow me on Blue Sky, I've been bitching about emails lately. So anyways, all right. So I need to update mine, but when it comes to LinkedIn's, so I actually, I'm going to pull up my boy Ray. And does anybody know Ray? He's in Atlanta. Ray's great. Highly recommend following him. Ray, if you're watching, hello. So I actually helped Ray write his LinkedIn. Let me. Yeah. Everybody see that? Re-architected our primary front-end application over a 6-year span, migrating front-end frameworks and scaling the code base from 200,000 to 1.4 million lines of code. I helped him write that shit. I'm gonna put that on tattoo. That's good. That's good right there, right? That's good, right? Research integrated, documented, and rolled out a third-party feature flag management tool as well. Nope. Yep. As building customer tooling solutions to save the company $60,000 a year. Oh God, so much talking. Built an in-house. Reducing staging environment deployments by 50%. Design systems supporting over 12,000 localized strings in 4 languages. You guys see where I'm getting at here? Most of y'all like, I developed React stuff. And then you wonder why you're not getting called, right? I did .NET. Yeah, no shit. Everybody does .NET. What have you done? What have you done? If I look at your bullet point and I can't tell you what you specifically have done, I'm not calling you. You have to understand something. In this market right now, it is highly competitive, right? You're probably telling, I feel like you're yelling at me. Yes, I'm trying to get your fucking attention here. Because the problem is most of y'all are doing the same thing like every other applicant right now. I want this group to be special, right? I seriously, I want y'all to be special. I want y'all to come out of here and be like, yeah, I have the tools now to basically transform the next 10 years of my career. Yes.
Was that part of your strategy?
Yes.
It breaks up the text and then it gives like.
Yes. 100%. Random recruiter I literally emailed him. I don't know if he knew I was speaking. I know we didn't, but I literally emailed him. I was like, bro, everything that you're literally posting is I'm going to talk about. And I literally emailed him. I was like, I'm going to mention you a ton of times in my talk. But he actually has a resume template. I do too. I'm going to pull it up here in a second. But the more quantitative you can get, the better. Now, the biggest question is, Taylor, I don't know how much. Like, I don't know how much I've saved the company. I don't know. Here's the deal. No one's fact checking you. Now, don't be lying too much, right? I mean, here's the deal, right? I'm gonna talk to Ray. I love Ray, but I'm like, really? 45,000 stage employment environment deploys? I mean, he may be like, well, maybe 40, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, no one's gonna go through and like comb through this with like a fine-tooth comb, but you need to be able to speak to it. I was where was it? Was it a TikTok? Probably a TikTok, knowing me. Somebody was talking about how it was Black Men in Tech. I had the opportunity to speak at Black Men in Tech this year at in October. Cam Ward does a hell of a conference. If you want a soft skills conference, please go there. It's all panels, and one of the panels I went to, this female engineering manager was talking about how during her career she interviewed with somebody that literally questioned her 10 years ago what happened. That's all the interview focused on. I mean, that freaks me out, right? If you ask me like what I did 10 years ago at Vaco, like, ugh. But again, the whole point is, can you speak to it, right? So anything you put down on this, make sure you speak to it. Does that make sense? But be quantitative as much as you feasibly. Listen, I get it. You can't go to accounting and be like, hey, what's the credits and debits. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that, right? But like, again, try to get as quantitative as possible. Any questions on this, on the body of it? No? Yes. Of course, always, Tessa.
But to add to that, if you go to the job description for the job that you are looking at and they're talking about problems and you solve that problem, it doesn't matter if you have metrics, just talk about the problem that you solved when you're approaching that up.
That, absolutely. Also, too, easy way. You're like, I don't know how to write a resume. Go Google the job you want and then just write your resume based off the bullet points in the job you want. Yes. So what? You got to what?
You got to rewrite it for everyone.
Yep. Yep. And also, you shouldn't be applying to jobs. I'm giving you a hard time a little bit, but we're going to get to, again, try to get to somebody first. Now, a lot of times, if you talk with an HR individual or hiring manager, they're going to be like, you're going to have to submit your resume, right? You have to submit your resume in the system. But here's, and I've talked with multiple hiring managers. Kelly Vaughn is a dear friend of mine, and she and I text all the time. She's a great follow if you do not follow her on Twitter. She's way funnier than I am. She said herself that if somebody messages her on the front end about a job on LinkedIn, ask a very good question or talks about their background and why they're a fit for the job, and she tells them to go submit their resume to the posting, and she sees their name, she will remember them and look at their resume. So again, to answer your question, yes, you're going to have to probably write your resume, but we'll get to this resume here in a second, and there's a way around it. So BRB, okay? Yeah.
Just quick, like the workflow of a recruiter, I don't know a lot about it. So it's like if I'm going through and I'm blasting applications, 2 people I know, like in this, would I do the LinkedIn DM and then automatically do the resume, like do the submission of the resume, or would I wait till they like put it in the system?
There's no right answer here. Okay. There's no, but I love the workflow. The way I would always start with LinkedIn first. Yeah. Hop on LinkedIn, go to the company you want to work for, or go to the job section, start perusing the jobs, go to the company that has a job posted, start messaging hiring managers, try not to ask about a job, right? Maybe you have some interest, maybe you've always wanted to work there, would love to know about your time working there, what makes you love working there, blah, blah, blah. If you're a junior developer, I think you have the best question to ask. Hey, if you're looking to hire somebody as a junior developer, what skills do you look for? Because then what happens is the hiring manager was, first off, you're like interested. Second off, the hiring manager goes, yeah, I would love to chat with you. Guess what you just did? You got yourself an interview, right? So again, like go through the DMs. If you see a job, apply, and or wait if you want to and message that person, be like, hey, and then if you have a good conversation, be like, well, I did see you have a job. Bring it up at the end. Listen, it's just like dating. Yeah. Not going to say sometimes what the end result some people want, but you typically don't want to lead with that. Everybody catch my drift? You want to finagle a little bit, right? You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Just listen, let's call it what it is. So if you have a call with a hiring manager and you're out here going, I want a job. Like, bro, chill. Time out. Don't feel safe, right? So again, like same thing. Have some finesse, please. All right, LinkedIn. I only have an hour left, and this is terrifying. So there's so much more to talk about. I want to go to the resume real quick. Does anybody have any questions about LinkedIn? We good? Sweet. All right. Yes. Yeah, I love thoughts. Go ahead.
Not from tech. So I went to the school and they kind of toasted some things. They were like, ice everything. But when I did that, I had absolutely nothing. So I put all my stuff back. So how do we like leverage? Because all I have is just like the stuff I worked with. So how do we like leverage stuff old stuff we used to do and then do this?
So the question, I want to make sure I'm hearing you right. If you're trying to jump from one career to another, into tech, right. Yeah. All right, prime example. I was a server at Outback Steakhouse. I think Outback Steakhouse is the best chain restaurant. Don't at me. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. I chocolate thunder from that underslaps every time. All right, here's the deal. That bloom nutting hurts my tummy. Basically, what I would do, actually, let's just do better. What career are you coming from? Fragrances. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. This is going to be a little hard. We may stick with my example. Okay. All right. Here's what I would do. Try to pick out what makes you special in the fragrance industry and explain it to me like I'm not in the fragrance industry and why you're important in that industry so I can understand it to where it could apply to the job. Prime example, serve tables, right? If I said on my job description, on my resume, I serve tables. I make sure customers are happy. Again, no shit, right? But if I told you, hey, when I was serving tables over the last 2 years, I was able to get server of the month 6 times and nobody else on the team got it more than twice. That's different, right? We had a sales competition to who sells the most bloomin' onions, and I hit that 3 times. Nobody else hit it once. What does that tell you about me? I'm a hell of a salesperson if I'm trying to get into sales, right? If you're trying to get into some sort of industry in tech, know what they're looking for. What I would do is I would go to the job description, go to the very bottom. There's usually a soft skills, right? And try to figure out how your background applies to the soft skills. Does anybody have any more thoughts? Leon, you got any thoughts on this? Here, stand up. I can't hear you. Stand up. Come on, man. Stand up.
When I was selling fragrances, I was trying to use platforms to sell the fragrances. They kept having issues. I couldn't actually sell the fragrances at the speed I wanted to. So then I started to build products to make it easier for me to sell fragrances, which led to me building software and applications to help people solve real problems. I'm a client today because I love the problems that your company solves. So for you, you would want to have a project in your portfolio that then backs up that narrative. And then when you're coaching and talking to someone, you can lean into that narrative to like, why am I in front of you? Well, I've been solving these problems for 10 plus years. It was in a different industry, but I'm going to solve the same problems for you and in this new industry. And as long as you have that narrative and you can build that in your resume, you can build that in your LinkedIn, then it makes sense why you're reaching out properly.
That's why he's the GOAT right there. Sounds good. Yeah.
Question about the connection notes.
Yeah, the connection notes, yep.
Actually, is it possible to make templates about it, or is it necessary to post?
Sure, you do templates, but that goes against what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
What to ask? Because like to ask 15 minutes to talk, or what to ask in that?
It's a good question. Back before COVID hit, I was telling everybody to ask every hiring manager 7 minutes to talk, 11 minutes to talk. Don't say 5. If your mom says, do you got to talk for 5 minutes? How long is that conversation? My mom is an hour. Don't say 5 minutes. Don't say 10 minutes. I used to say that. Now, hiring managers are super busy right now because all that middle management has been laid off because of the market right now. So ain't no one got time to talk right now. So I'd ask very poignant questions about something you want to learn or gain knowledge of, right? So again, I bring up Kelly here. So Kelly's been Spot AI is a video surveillance AI company, right? So let's say you wanted to get involved in AI, right? You ask Kelly a specific question about AI, right? Or I've always wanted to get into video surveillance. Ask Kelly a specific question about video surveillance. Does that make sense? Start the conversation that way, because the way this whole thing works is, again, kind of like what Aaron Francis talked about. It's top of mind brand awareness. So if your name, it comes in my inbox and you're thoughtful. I mean, Dominic, dude, he's like on my lives all the time. And he and I've met obviously a ton of conferences, but I felt like I knew this dude. And all he did was sign into my lives every day and go, hey, day after day after day after day after day, right? Now, I'm not saying message managers day after day after day after day. Taylor told me to, but I'm saying is be thoughtful. And the more thoughtful you are, the more intentional you are, the more you're going to stand out, especially in this, and especially right now. Okay. All right. Resume real quick, because believe it or not, 2 hours is enough time. I love this resume template. This is going to become on torque.dev's website, but it's not there yet. This is on a website called Unghosted. Unghosted. It actually, a buddy of mine who's at Microsoft, senior product, and he was a former director of engineering. He and I had a series, unghosted.live. If you want to go to this, it's our resume template, which I'm going to use on Torque's page here soon. So unghosted.live. Scroll to the bottom. This resume template, I'm not going to go through it in depth. It's pretty easy. The biggest thing I would say, get quantitative. If you don't work for a company in FANG, I need to know about the company size. Like, for example, when I was at Gun.io, We were like 10 million in revenue, right? We weren't small. We're not big, but we weren't small. But you're not going to know who they are, right? If I were to ever leave Torque, I'm never going to leave Torque. But if I ever left Torque, I'd probably give you some information. Torque is a talent marketplace that has 20 individuals and does 15 million in revenue a year, right? Give an example of the company you're at if you don't work for a big company. Please make it quantitative. Again, I have kind of all of the kind of tips and tricks in here. The biggest thing to include is don't use italicized, by the way. It hurts my eyes. But the big thing is give a recap, especially if you're a developer, of all the technologies and tools that you use in each position in the last bullet point, because that helps you get caught up in the search engine, right? So I would do a heavy dosage of like, I used X to solve Y because of Z. Job Father just tweeted that the other day and made me feel good because I was like, all right, we're aligned. I'm not crazy, right? So I used X technology to solve Y because of Z. And then at the end of every position you have held, write all the tools and technologies that you've touched in each position. Does that all make sense? All right, cool. Sweet. Great. That's resume, LinkedIn stuff. So we're going to cover, I want to touch on community real quick, but I do want to get to the meat and potatoes around interviewing. So the power of community, listen, Aaron spoke that conversation was amazing. But basically what I want to get to is, wait, I have slides. Wait, I have a slide on this. Wait, yeah, we're going to use slides. Hold on. No, oh, we didn't even use Blue Sky. Hold on, shit. All right. So Blue Sky, all right, I'll tell you this. Everybody knows Twitter. Everybody knows Blue Sky. It's kind of the same. It's whatever. You can use it the same way. Blue Sky gives you a ton of opportunity right now to network with developers. Okay. There's obviously hiring managers on it and decision makers on it, but like now's the chance. If you've ever wanted to slide in someone's DMs to network, now it's time to do it on Blue Sky. I've used it to my advantage, and I have slid into so many people's DMs on Blue Sky that I've always wanted to meet because their Twitter inbox was too loud. Right. So now's the time. It's attention grab. Attention is starting to go to Blue Sky. Like, if I was a dev recruiter right now, and I've made a post about this, and of course, like nobody responded, I was like, well, sucks to be y'all. This is, if I was a recruiter, I would get into Blue Sky and I would just recruit off Blue Sky, because nobody's inbox is full yet, right? If you message me on Blue Sky, I'm going to respond back to you, right? On Twitter, it's spam. So, and again, LinkedIn gives you a ton of opportunities to get in touch with managers, right? That's how I view it. If you want to network with other developers, Blue Sky. If you want to network with decision makers, use LinkedIn. All right, you got to have community. We're not meant to go through this life alone. Content leads to community. Community leads to referrals. Referrals leads to jobs. You guys like my slides? They're great. I saw Aaron's slides and I was like, Jesus Christ. And then here's mine. Right. So listen, here's the deal. I think without harping on this, it's like Aaron said, you got to be known for something. Listen, there's a lot of people out there that know a lot more than me. I'm just gonna say it. I have felt imposter syndrome more over the last 4 years of my career than I ever felt in my entire career. Right. And I will tell you this, like, there's a lot of amazing, like, job seeking people out there, but like, you gotta understand something. There's also a good gazillion people in the world, right? There's enough for everybody, right? Like, if you want to talk about React, you're like, oh my gosh, like, Kent Dodds, like, he does all this React stuff. I don't want to talk about React. Listen, that's one person, right? There's enough to go around for everybody. And the thing is like, once you start to become known for something, you start to get opportunities. Listen, I don't know how it works, but it just does, right? Like Tessa, right? Like, prime example. Like, if I hear DevRel, I'm like, Tessa, right? DevRel, Tessa. It's just like, it's literally synonymous, right? And so guess what? Tessa does her own thing now because she has posted enough. She has been vocal enough. She is now known. It's like anything DevRel. I don't know. Talk Tessa. I don't know. Just talk to her. I don't know. It's just how it works. Consistency, right? If you're like, Taylor, I don't know what to post. I would make one post a day on LinkedIn with every session that you attended. So every session that you attended for today and tomorrow, I would create one post a day based off something you've learned and tag that person. I will tell you this. I would not be where I'm at today if I didn't comment on social media on everybody's posts. At the fundamental level, it's literally just commenting, liking on people's posts. It's the craziest shit, but it's what it is, right? Like, prime example, Dom, here, prime example. Hey man, this is role play. I know we know each other. Just bear with me here. Hey man, what's your name?
Hi, Dominic.
Hey man, I'm Taylor. What do you do? Just go with me here.
Oh, it's a bit.
It's a bit, yes, yes.
I'm a software engineer.
Great, awesome. What do you code in?
React.
Great, awesome. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, you can literally do that shit by liking and commenting something on Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter. That exchange can happen 60 times a day on LinkedIn if you want it to. Do you understand that? Like, listen, some of y'all are extroverts. I am not. I'm going to go cry in a corner after this talk. I'm going to be so exhausted. But the thing is, though, is that like I can sit on my computer at home and I can comment and say, "What's up? Let's go. How you doing? Hope you're doing well." And listen, I mean it. And I do it every day, over and over and over and over again. Then 4 years later, I'm VP of Global Community. That's a big fucking title, which basically means, which basically means I comment on people's posts on LinkedIn. And so what I'm saying is that, and again, I want to give flowers to Ryan. I mean, literally, I was having lunch with Ryan the other day, 2 days. How many days? Was it yesterday? It was yesterday. Holy cow. Right? So I was having lunch with Ryan. I was like, man, have you ever, I was like, you found a job in tech, right? He goes, no, I'm still trying. I was like, what? That's crazy. Why? Because Ryan is on Twitter consistently posting and engaging and talking tech and and documenting. And I think Ryan's like doing the damn thing. And he's not yet, but he is. Right? Jason, fuck, where you go? This was like Jason. I was gonna give Jason his flowers, and he's not here. So Jason, prime example, right? Everybody know Jason Torres? Raise your hand. Yeah. I mean, just an absolute animal when it comes to networking. I hired him to like be like just go network for me, or Torque, not for me. But basically, I hired Jason because Jason did not have a job in tech. He went through 100 devs, Gridiron Survivor. I saw him build. And like I even hired him to do some of my content part-time, like posting, kind of engaging some video stuff. And so I was like, all right, yeah, this is great. This is great. And literally, like once I got the budget to hire one person in the US, Jason, again, did that conference, raised a ton of money for a friend's wife who has cancer. Has anybody done that in here? You helped me. Yeah, that's not the point, Tessa. I knew you were gonna say something. But like that's incredible. Who in here has thrown a virtual conference and raised thousands of dollars for a friend's wife who has cancer? He did the work. I didn't interview him. I literally was like, "You want to come work for me?" He was like, "Yeah." And there we go. Right? Which leads to me kind of another thing too. I think right now in this market, you kind of got to do the job before you get the job. And I know that's a little bit of a hot take, and I know it's probably going to ruffle some feathers, and I understand that because it's like, well, that's not fair, yada, yada, and I get it. But right now, this market's so competitive. If you want to get a job doing AI, I would be documenting a project on LinkedIn that you are building from scratch in AI. Right? If you want a job doing Node, I would literally document, and you're like, Taylor, documenting. Yes. I mean, literally, like I had the biggest man crush on Aaron Francis. I literally like wanted to like hug him for like a very, very long time. That would have been very inappropriate because he was so right. He was so right, right? Leon, never met this dude in my life, but I've seen him constantly posting, right? Patrick, who I hired to do all my content for me and Torque, right? While I did know him, like I saw his stuff. It's the same thing. You have to do the work before you get the job. Prime example, this guy, you're like, Taylor, I'm sick and tired of like social media, like bullshit talk out here. All right, let me give you a prime example. This guy, his name was Adam Mitchell. He's in Nashville, no social media, senior .NET architect. I worked with him probably 6 years ago when Azure was starting to come out, specifically Azure Functions. Still don't know what that does. But basically, like this client wanted Azure Functions. And I called him. I was like, hey, I see you have Azure on your resume. Have you done functions? He was like, not professionally, but I have a side project where I've spun it up. I've done this, and this using Azure Functions. I said, great, let's just give it a shot. Send it over to the client, got the job. There's no social media in there. He's just doing the damn thing, right? So again, just incredibly, now I'm really nervous, Mark's here. It's just like, it's so incredibly important to do the thing before you get the thing. And if you're like, well, Taylor, I don't want to post. I don't want to be a social media influencer. I don't want to be taking pictures like Mark, right? I don't know how to work a camera. I don't have an email newsletter. You got to go volunteer somewhere, right? Listen, churches, they always need help. Let's just be honest, right? Go to a local nonprofit. Hey, do you have you been working on any sort of, is there any sort of project that I can take on? I will do for free. Just get me the experience. Now, it's another type of topic that's like, I get it. Working for free. I understand not many people can afford that. I'm not saying 40 hours a week free. I'm saying like 1 to 2 hours a week free. Jason Torres, I paid him, but it was a very low cost. I didn't have the money to be able to pay him what he deserved. And I told him that on the front end, and he still did it. And look, he's got a job with me now. You gotta be scrappy right now. You have to be scrappy. Okay. Community leads to referrals. Talked with a director of engineering recently. He had 2 staff engineer spots open front end. I was like, hey, bro, would love to help you fill them. And he goes, would love that too, but I have 15 direct referrals. Not to mention 600 applicants. I planned that sip of water, by the way. I'm not a little dramatic effect. Right. Fact of the matter is that everyone's looking right now, and there's so much just junk out there. And again, the more intentional you can be, the more you're going to cut through the noise. But referrals are everything. Referrals are everything. But, oh, side note, before you submit your damn resume to a job, make sure if you have a friend that works there, tell them first. Typically, companies internally have like some sort of like referral thing where they pay that person up to $5,000 for placing you. That person's going to be like super, super pumped to try to get you a job. But once you submit your resume, that ownership is done. It's done. The most recent job search I was at when I left my company of 11 years, I was at Vaco. Before I got a job at Gun.io, I messaged Angie Jones. I was like, Angie, girl, I'm on a job search. What you got? She goes, I got a referral code. Use this. I actually got the job at Gun before I was able to kind of go through the processes, but like I used that, right? I literally messaged everybody. I was like, hey, who? Literally, I want to give another specific example of how doing something very small and insignificant leads to a job. I was talking to my boss recently. I said, how'd you know about me? Like, because he's not, I mean, he's a lurker. Anybody a lurker here? Like, don't really post. Your hand shot real fast. Yeah. You're a big lurker back there, right? So it's like you're lurking, like, I don't like stuff. He's a lurker, right? Dave, if you're watching this, you're a lurker. And so, he was like, no, he goes, I got your name because you spoke at Scrimba like 6 years ago. So Scrimba is a great platform. And anybody know who Scrimba is in here? Yeah, a few of us. Yeah. And I got a DM by an individual, and they were like, hey, do you want to come speak? And again, going back to Aaron Francis's talk, I thought I made it. I was like, oh shit, somebody wants me to speak to like a code boot camp. Like I was like a typical recruiter. I was like, I mean, yeah, let's do it. I could have turned it down. I could have been like, are you paying? How much do you charge? Or how much do I charge? Not you charge. Right? And so I'd be like, but I did. I was like, sure, absolutely, I'll do it. This individual ended up consulting for my boss at Torque and told him about me. That'll preach. Right? And now I'm here. 6 years later. You have to understand something. The connections that you make at one of these conferences may not pay off for another 6-7 years from now. The problem is we as human beings, and listen, I'm this way too. You talking about like, I want it now. I mean, I am the worst at it. But I'm telling you, your career is a long game. This is not something like that you're going to like figure out tomorrow. Listen, here's the deal. I have wanted a VP title for a very long time. I finally got it. What did I say? That's it? Now what? Right? We're always looking for now what? And you got to enjoy the journey. And I know people say that, but listen, at the end of the day, you can only get so many titles. At the end of the day, for the most part, pay rank, salary bands, pay ranges are all about the same outside of FANG, right? And so I would just encourage you all to like enjoy this. Enjoy the meeting the people, enjoy the KFC, right? Enjoy the late night conversations at conferences. Because I'm telling you, those conversations, those intimate conversations that you have with somebody in a hall is going to drastically affect your career 5-6 years from now. But that is where community comes in. That is where referrals leads to jobs, is right here. Listen, this is not normal. You have to understand something. What Danny has done in his first, I mean, I talked to Danny just a few minutes ago. Danny hasn't like slept. Like I was like, that's not healthy. He was like, I mean, like maybe an hour or two. I was like, okay. So if you see him, give him a hug, because this shit's hard. It is hard, and I will tell you this much. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, clap it out for sure. This is incredibly, and this is not normal. I have been on the conference circuit now for a bit, and I'm sure a lot of speakers in here will attest this. There's a lot of conferences that have folded. A lot. Enjoy this. This is where community is built. And I will tell you this, in a blink of an eye, we'll be done. We'll all go home tomorrow afternoon, right? And we'll say we'll look forward to the next one. But the problem is a lot of us don't take advantage for what's happening right now, okay? So again, I know I'm spending a little bit more time on this part, this community part. This is community. Liking and commenting on people's posts, giving somebody a handshake, giving somebody a hug, telling them you like their talk, right? It all comes back around. Again, like Mark, right? Mark Thompson in the back. I had the opportunity to interview him on my podcast, right? I've been a fan with him for a long time, right? Every time I see him, I want to make sure I hug him because I don't get to see him that much. And I'm not just saying that because he's in here. I would say that about Danny. I would say that, I mean, like I said, I wanted to hug Aaron for a very long time, right? I've never met him in person, but I did a podcast with him. And I started that connection on the front end. Tessa, prime example. She and I have never been able to cross paths at a conference because I'm always leaving. She's coming in. We'll finally be able to see each other. I have not met, but I feel like I know Tessa. She posts on Twitter about her cows, right? It's crazy. Tessa's like the best follow ever, right? Right? And so like, again, but I know her and I know her family because I engage on social.
And because I open myself up to the community.
Boom. See, I don't need to do this talk. Y'all got it. All right. So we got, you guys are great. Is everybody still hanging on by a thread right now? Everybody hanging by a thread? We good? We still good? Got a thumbs up? All right. Real quick. I want to do this side of the room, network with that side of the room. Let's do a quick break for like 2 minutes. Go. Just network. Y'all go over here, pull out your LinkedIn, and then over here, pull out your LinkedIn and go over here. Real quick. 2 minutes, quick break, get some water. Real fast. And then we'll finish up the last 40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes. 2 minutes. Pull out your LinkedIn. Say what?
I'm here to network with you.
Hell yeah, bro. That's what I'm talking about. What platform? LinkedIn?
Of course.
All right. Sweet.
I don't have any other.
All right. Awesome. Oh, nope, not the calculator.
I don't know, man. You need to calculate out how many people you're helping. Oh, sorry. Let's do that.
There you go. Sweet. Awesome, brother. Well, William, it's nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. I've been like kind of listening to your talk half and half.
Yeah.
People
Yeah,
out there.
of course.
I'm gonna watch all of it later.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was just interesting, but also it's hot in here, and I went.
It's so hot. I'm dying.
I know like half the tricks you're telling me.
Yeah.
So
Good.
I
Good.
don't need all of them.
Good.
I
Good.
think I should have a job landed on Monday. So
Awesome, man.
9-month grind is over.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, no, I mean, good thing. I definitely want to look over like how you talk about to like reach out to people.
Yeah.
I'm terrible about reaching
Everybody
out to people
is.
on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. In person or like talking face to face, I try to be very personal. I
Sure.
try to be very upfront and
Sure.
talk with people, enjoy that. But like on LinkedIn, I'll connect with you if I meet you.
Yeah.
Or if someone sends me a connection request.
Right.
I never wanted to connect with you before, but maybe you will now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I was like,
You have your code?
too
No.
I broke. Look at this! I broke the ice.
There you go, man. I know.
Let me do it as well. Let's all.
All right, y'all, let's go ahead and grab a seat. Last 40 minutes. Thank you, Shannon. Last 40 minutes. Grab a seat. This is the best part of my talk, believe it or not. All right. This is great. The fact that I got to get y'all to shut up and sit down is a great sign. All right, last 40 minutes. Last 40 minutes. So we go and grab a seat. Come with your questions. If you are leaving, I hate to say this, probably the most impactful part of the talk. So just to let you know. All right. So I want to talk about interviewing, and this is like a Q&A, right? So the reason why I saved this for last is I know we're going to be exhausted, and I usually, so I gave this is usually my main talk I give. It's all Q&A based, and it's just a very real and frank conversation when it comes to the job search. And so I really want everyone to be open here. There's no wrong answers. There's no dumb stories. I really think if you have dealt with it, somebody else has dealt with it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and kind of talk about some high level stuff, but I'm here to answer any questions you have. So this is all Q&A. If you have any questions about anything I've said, if you have any questions about maybe you're in the job search right now, I'm here to answer them. I'm probably going to get Leon's help maybe too to help answer some questions with me. But again, this time is for you to ask any questions. Nothing's off the table. We can talk about pay rates with recruiters. We can talk about, how we make, aka the recruiting industry, make money. I'm not really a recruiter anymore. So again, I want to talk about all that here in a second, but I do want to hit these bullet points real quick. First bullet point, small things are going to get you a job right now. Usually the people getting jobs right now aren't better than you. They're just doing the small things better than you. Prime example, right? One of my buddies who's a recruiter, he posted on LinkedIn. He was like, for the love of God, please put your contact information on your resume. Dude, I'm telling you, Jordan contests that the shit that we see is nuts. They literally, there are people who do not put their phone or their email, and they submit their resume, and we don't know how to call them. And actually, usually they're actually good. For some reason, like usually people who like forget their stuff are actually pretty good. And so then we're like, huh? Yeah, see, I'm not crazy. Well, their attention to detail ain't that great. So anyway, so that's important, right? Do the small things. I would have a checklist, some interviewing tips for me, real fast. Have a pen and paper out. I think especially in the world of AI and all that stuff, if you are typing on your computer now during an interview, it is a bad look. It is a bad look right now. Pen and paper, have it out. Let the interviewer know, hey, listen, Mr. Mrs. Interviewer, I have a pen and paper right here. So I may pause and write stuff down. Is that okay? 10 out of 10 times, the people are going to be like, that's totally fine. But right now, because of where we're at, the Pragmatic Engineer just sent out an email newsletter. I have not been able to read it yet. But around AI and interviewing and how some founders are embracing it, how some founders are trying to get around it. I need to read it. Have not read it yet. But pen and paper is huge. Also, too, make sure if you screen share, you don't have any subjective content on your computer that's visible. That happened to me 2 months ago, or no, in my last job, so 6 months ago. So make sure your screen is clear of things when you screen share, okay? Another thing too, have your resume out in front of you. Incredibly important. I don't even remember things I've done. And I feel like I'm a pretty good like speaker and kind of bullshit and kind of get way through things. I still need my resume in front of me, right? And if anyone wants to see my resume, I will share it with you because I think it's really, really good. But that being said, I have it in front of me when I interviewed for Torque because I needed to give specific examples if my boss, Dave, asked me about community, right? And then also the next thing, I would have a sizzle sheet. I haven't quite made these professional terms yet, but like a sizzle sheet thingamajigger where it's like what are like the 5 things that you just really want to drive home in the interview when you interview, right? So for me, when I interview with Torque, I want to say I grew the Gun.io Discord to 1,000 members in 1 year. Personally, I drove in over 1,000 engineers to the Gun.io platform in a year. I also brought in 29 net new logos/companies to the company with a total of over 55 to 60 job orders in 1 year. So when and then I talked about email. I had a bunch of like content stuff about email marketing. Jason, I gave you huge flowers. You missed it. So all that being said, like have like this sizzle sheet. So if you're going in and interviewing for a senior team lead position that they're migrating their code base from one language to another, and you have all that experience, make sure that you have like the things written down that you really want to get across. Because one of the things I consistently hear is people get through an interview and they're like, damn it, I forgot to mention that. Anybody done that? I've done it. Yeah. Have that written down. All right. Flip the interview into a conversation. Yes.
One comment for that.
Yes.
If you forget something, just try to give the thank you note.
That's great. Love that. Everybody hear that? Write it in the thank you note. I think mail's a little slow these days, so I would say maybe like in the thank you email or or DM. Yeah, we're not sending letters to our grandma for Christmas, right? So love that. Flip the interview into a conversation. Vibe is everything. Listen. This hot take. People just want to work with people they like. Now, there are some issues around that conversation. There's issues around that point, and I understand that. I have been in those conversations. There's a lot of bias around that statement. But at the end of the day, for the most part, and again, I never want to speak in absolutes in hiring, people want to work with people they enjoy speaking with. Why do you have friends? Hold on, John, I'll get to you in a second. Why do you have, your friends are people you enjoy hanging out with, right? If you go into an interview, grumpy gills, don't expect to be called back, okay? I'm just going to say that. Leave that there. Jordan, go.
I was going to say that that really goes both ways, though. Like, if you can have a conversation,
100%.
if say people want to work with people they like, you use that to your advantage. Like, how is this manager? How are you connecting with them?
Love it.
Is this someone not in a way like is this you someone they want to work there, but are they someone you want to work for?
Love that. Yeah, listen, you're interviewing the manager just as much as they're interviewing you, right? So be aware of that. Yes.
No, you made me think because I worked
Hell yeah.
at Starbucks for a while.
Okay.
And you're absolutely right because
Thank you.
They had restructured. So I was living in Josephine, Ridgeville City, and I asked her once, I said, well, why did you hire me? We were just talking. And she told me it's because I liked you. And she said, I didn't care about anything you did before. It was just, I like your personality, you were so nice. She would give a look about anything I did before. She just like, I was like, oh, I guess that's good as man.
Yeah. I don't know how you're also in here wearing that with how hot it is right now. Props to you. I am sweating so bad right now. I am dying. Do not hug me. I mean, you can, but just FYI. All right. What's the actual problem you're interviewing for, and how can you fucking solve it? I mean, I feel like some of us get an interview and you can come out because, again, as a recruiter, I would post mortem every interview, like, how did it go? All of this. I'm like, well, are you interested in the role? Jordan contest says a lot of people are like, I don't know what the role entails. Again, I'm not making this up.
Didn't even ask the basic question of what am I interviewing for?
This is why you're expected to get a job on Monday, right? So again, like figure out the problem. For example, prime example, Gun.io. Gun.io was looking for a salesperson when I interviewed. But I also asked them, do you do social media? Do you do content? They go, we've never had a content presence. I said, okay. I said, have you ever been to developer conferences? Done anything for the community? They go, we've never done that. I said, okay. So guess what I was able to answer? Sales, content, and community in my interview. And I was able to drive home all points because I figured out what their pain points are, right? If you could figure out specifically, and listen, it's fine to ask, hey, why are you hiring for this role? Did you fire somebody? There you go. All of it. Right? It's okay to ask, hey, why are you hiring for this role? And figure that out and then create a narrative of how you can fix that. Right? I don't want to say it's that simple, but just ask the question. That question just needs to be asked to begin with. Follow-up is everything. And then we'll get into questions here. So y'all come up with questions and we'll wrap it up the last 30 minutes with questions. Follow-up is everything. I would have not gotten the job at Gun or Torque if my follow-up game was not 11 out of 10. Gun.io, I interviewed with the founder. Founder told me, hey, I love you, but we really want to hire a VP of marketing first before you. I said, totally get it, totally understand. He was like, check back with me in a month. Okay. Well, when you have a job for 11 years, telling people how to interview and hire, you kind of know that what the deal is. I knew it wasn't going to be a month. I knew it was probably going to be a week. So I literally emailed him a week later. I set it on my calendar, set a reminder on my calendar to email Gun.io. And I was like, hey, man, just checking in. I want to see how the interview went with the VP of marketing. He calls me immediately. Hey, Taylor. I'm like, hey, what's up? And of course, like I was grinning. Like I knew what the call was about. He was like, yeah, the VP of marketing candidate fell through. Would love to hire you. Said, I figured. He goes, what? I go, nothing. And so I did not say that. And so essentially, so I got the job because of that. Then with Torque, I saw that my time was coming to an end. Again, be aware, right? I think I've talked with a few of y'all over the last 24 hours, and the biggest question I get is, when do I start interviewing? When do I start looking for, if I'm happy, when do I start? You should be talking all the time, right? Like all the time. Hey, you're posting a lot about you love what you do. Are you hiring? I mean, if you catch me on, if I have budget and I'm at a conference and I'm looking for somebody, I literally just hired somebody on my team from Mexico who was at the conference in Guadalajara we were at last month. Because I met her, she was present, she was engaged, and then I asked a few people in the Guadalajara conference region that we were at, I said, who should I hire? Everybody said her. I had a 15-minute conversation, I hired her. Right? Always be looking, always be asking, always be networking. I feel like as human beings, we're all like hot or cold. We're going to go 1,000 miles a minute or nothing. Now, if my wife is watching this, she would be giggling right now because that's exactly my personality, if you can't tell. So I get it. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the job search, it's a, hey, how you doing? Are you hiring here? Or, hey, I see you're loving your role. You got it. Like, are you guys doing anything? You guys growing at all? Right? Always be looking. Always be looking. But again, follow-up is absolutely everything. It is probably the most important part of the job. If I would have to distill down everything, is follow-up. I would follow up with every single person you meet at this conference. If you are not following up, you are losing out. I'm telling you, 60% of going to conferences is follow-up. In my opinion. In my opinion. The job search, I'd say probably 60% of the job search is follow-up. Because the thing is people are too busy. My wife's got to tell me 3 times before I do something. Now, that's another conversation I got to work on. But all that being said, we're all busy. Shut up, Patrick. We're all busy. So all that being said, follow up, please. All right. Questions around the job search. Ryan, go.
Where's the best place to actually play my passion? If I'm a career transitioner.
Sure.
have a lot of space in my one-page resume to fit all this, hey, this paragraph of who I am, what I love about what I want to do. So where can I inject that before an interview?
All right, few things I want to address. First off, I want to kick the guidance counselor in the shin that says your resume has just got to be a page. Knock that shit off. Now, you are more early in your career. If you are earlier in your career, but you have applicable experience and volunteer experience or internships or whatever, and you can fill up a page or more, put that shit on there. Like, this one-page resume thing has got to get at, like, no, okay? Let it breathe a little bit. Some of y'all are doing like 10-point font. I'm like, looking at the resume, like, the hell did you do? Like, let it breathe. It's okay. Say what? Yeah, hiring manager. Yeah. We all got glasses at this point. Like, yeah. I need 12-point font, double space. No. My question to you and my answer to you, and I'm interested, Leon, I'm interested in what you have. Jordan, I'm interested in what you have too, is that's where just putting yourself on the internet. I know you're an F1 fan. You just posted your Mercedes portfolio the other day. I watch you. Okay? Yeah. Right? That's where you do it. Leon, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think if you're relying on what your resume says,
I don't need to be giving this talk. You need to be up here.
So can I add on to that real quick? I saw someone on Blue Sky. She posted a job that they were hiring for. I said, hey, I'm not a senior, I'm junior, but like, hey, I'll talk to you about this. She DM'd me great. DM'd her, talked to her, laid out what I'm passionate about. Here's my resume. She goes, great, love it. Apply for the job. Then heard that, okay, we are looking for someone with more experience. I didn't expect a senior job. She goes, I think you'd be great in this other position. Can I send your application for that? Yes, please. Nothing.
Should have asked for the name. That was your mistake. That sounds great. Who is it so I can follow up?
Oh, sorry.
For real. Also, this is why we do Q&A for that right there. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So like I've heard that like job hunting is like a numbers game where like you have to apply for more, but
No.
at the same time, what is like the balance?
Yeah, job application is not numbers anymore. That's done. Job application, the job search is not about numbers anymore. Not about numbers. Hold on. Get that out of your head. It's about intentionality. Messaging people on LinkedIn, kind of everything I talked about, messaging people on LinkedIn, talking to people at conferences, crafting your messages, right? That is what's going to move the needle, not applying to 5,000 fake LinkedIn jobs. Okay? Yes.
So it was about the numbers game at some point?
Yeah, it was. Back when it was good. I miss those days. That was the most money I've ever made in my career. 2021, 2022. Those were great days in the recruiting world. Oh, buddy. I had literally my biggest year ever. Because literally you could sneeze, and then be like, oh, I got a job. It was nuts. It's not that anymore. And I don't know if it's ever going to be that again, to be totally honest. Yeah, Jordan.
When you look at the numbers game from the sound perspective, do you have any idea how many people apply for a job because they think it's a numbers game and they're not? There are hundreds of applications. Okay, so you said, Guy, earlier, 600 applicants, right? 500 of those people are not going to be a fit.
Correct.
They're increasing their odds. They think it's a numbers game. The more I apply, the more like I'm increasing my likelihood of someone reaching out to me. Not the case. If anything, the more people who subscribe to the numbers game, the less it becomes a numbers game.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in the back.
Yeah, so like, let's say you're at a conference and you've met like 100 people.
It's a lot of people. Yeah, extrovert.
You only really remember like 20 of those interactions that had like meaningful.
Sure.
And meaningful.
Sure.
Are you better off concentrating on the quality
Mhm.
of reaching out to those, or like and sending maybe generic follow-ups to the rest?
Never generic. Never generic. Again, we got to get out of this mindset of generic mass activity.
You know what? It's okay.
Yeah. If I were you, I'd focus on the 20. Focus on the 20. Right. But again, if you are not pulling out your actually, and I need to message Brianna on our team. I wasn't a fan of business cards. Now I am. Because you meet so many people, but you need a QR code to get that person to your socials. I throw away a business card, but I'll scan it when I get back to the hotel tonight after this talk and cry in a corner. And I will connect with you from the QR code on the business card. I think business cards are back, but they're just different. And we're doing that with our team too. The UPS just got in late, so we weren't able to have them with this one. But anyways, that's beside the point. So yeah, focus on the 20. Yep.
How do you handle addressing large gaps in a career?
Great question. Large gaps to your career. I mean, here's the deal. I mean, there's no way about it. Say what happened. If it's sensitive information, I don't know.
Would you bring it up ahead of time? So, for example, I did work for 5 years because I was primary parent.
I mean, that's
hey,
yeah.
I had small people, they're terrorists.
Yeah. As a fellow parent with tiny terrorists, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because yeah, like I'd be like, oh, this girl's hilarious. I want to talk to her more, right? That's what I'm saying. Address it, right? Address it, 100%. Yeah, Tessa, go ahead. Yeah, of course.
I would encourage, especially since most of you are technically minded, a way to track all of your connections.
Yes.
I set up HubSpot when I first became a developer. I had like 15 years of contacts in my HubSpot. And it's anyone that I can go back and reach out to. It tracked my email the whole time. It tracked my calendar the whole time. And so I have all of this beautiful data that if I need to go reach out to someone, it's all in there. So I would strongly urge you to find your own sort of like CRM, networking tool, whatever, to just track those key things.
Here's the deal. I can't stress to you enough how important connections are. I literally cannot stress enough. Like every time I find myself on TikTok during the workday, I immediately get myself off my phone and be like, who else can I talk to in the DM? I mean, I get on the toilet and I'm DMing people on the toilet. Look, hey, listen, I've had this conversation with people before. They're like, well, how do I don't have time. You poop. DM people when you're pooping. Just call it what it is. Call it what it is, right? And also another thing too, Jamin, everybody know Jamin Holmgren on Twitter, Infinite Red CTO. Yeah. He tweeted the other day, he was like, he goes, I really want to use LinkedIn more. How do I use it? And I tweeted at him, I said, delete every single other social media app off your phone but LinkedIn. I did a fast for church a few weeks ago, and the thing I did was I got off social media for a week, which if you know me, was very difficult. And I can't tell you, I was like detoxing, and my behavior, like I got so aware of like flipping open my phone and like where my thumb would go, like it's wild, right? So my thing is, if you want to use LinkedIn more, delete every other social media app off your phone, because what you're going to do is you're automatically going to go to that. To get behavior for me for Blue Sky, I deleted Twitter off my phone because more devs were using Twitter, and my job is to be where the people are, and like that whole thing, right? So again, that's what I would do. I can't stress to you enough. If you are not taking advantage of every single conversation to follow up on LinkedIn DMs, you are losing every single day. Every single day. Any other questions? We got 15 minutes. Yes.
What's an easy trap, like a person that's going to like, or that kind of thing, what's easy trap they can fall into that's not immediately obvious?
A trap from an interviewer perspective, like you're interviewing.
Well, if you're being interviewed,
okay.
What's an easy way to mess up the interview that isn't immediately obvious?
I don't know. Is there any hiring managers in here or recruiters in here that thoughts, Tessa?
I would say probably, you mean like in terms of like traps like that you might fall into? Or you're saying they're trying to trap you?
You could think of it as like a hidden red flag.
Oh.
Not interviewing the company you're interviewing for?
Like if a hiring manager is interviewing you, you want to know what are potential red flags about you potentially as a candidate, right?
Sorry, what I mean is, say you're being interviewed.
Yeah.
And you say or do stuff, or the way you're being interviewed, like how would you respond? So like makes the interviewer not listen to you as much.
Oh, yeah.
It would, but this, yeah.
Okay.
Jason next.
One time I watched someone with their significant other in the background playing video games. And I was like, if you don't care enough about the interview to go find yourself like a safe space that is not distracted for me, then I think that was one red flag. Super messy. This is all going to sound a little materialistic, but it all comes like super messy backgrounds. Like if I see trash or things that shouldn't be there, if it feels like you're not showing up for the job that you want, I'm not saying you got to dress up. You don't have to wear a suit and tie, but you shouldn't come in with like a shirt that looks dirty. You know, your hair should be like presentable. I would say also if you make side comments or prove to me the lack of details. When we talked about them missing your contact information on the resume, I would never even call that person because I would be like, are you freaking kidding me? I have to chase down your application? No flipping way. I don't have time for this. And so it would instantly go in the trash, even if I was very, very excited about that person. Generally, I am also, and I'm gonna say this, but like I'm like a little old, so I'm gonna say this, and like y'all can still be young and hip and do what you want. But the trash talking on your socials, that's a big, big red flag. Big red flag. And I realize that we are a extended generation that is changing and we've got voices, but there are still professional people trying to hire you. And I'm not saying that your opinions aren't valid. Choose the network or the place at which you should do that. And any path for hiring managers is not where you do that. So do that on Facebook if you're on that.
Snapchat. Do it on Snapchat.
You know, Snapchat, great company. Go to Snapchat.
Oh yeah, I forgot. For the record, she works Snapchat. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, so I want to build on that last part, which is, this is actually right to your question. One of the trap questions you get is, why are you leaving your current position? And you have to be really careful because you could be tempted to think they're not these people, so I can just tee off on how.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But all that's saying to the person interviewing is like, what are you going to be doing as soon as you join here? Like, that nothing was ever your fault, that everybody's a problem. So
yeah.
If you get a chance to tee off on your old job, even if you hated it,
Don't.
take it.
Yep. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, don't lie.
Yeah.
People will,
Yeah, don't lie.
it's obvious when you start to exaggerate, talk about things you did,
Yep.
you didn't actually do.
Yep.
People will find out right away.
100%. Mark.
I would love for someone to talk about, because we just told everyone, don't tee off from your old job, right?
Yeah.
And they ask you, why are you leaving? What should they say instead?
Ooh.
Be
I like that.
respectable.
Yeah.
That's what you say. Anything respectable.
Speak openly and candidly in a like respectful way. You can say things that are true that are not like foul. Like
Yeah.
my boss was a dick. And
It's not, yeah, I would not say that.
I
Just say the
wasn't
workplace
aligned
environment
with,
wasn't working out, something like that.
Hold on. Get too many side conversations. Hold on. Say it again, Jordan.
No, I was just saying like, everyone jokes about corporate jargon, but like find that
Yeah.
more professional way to say exactly what you feel without like wood inside the wall.
Yeah, prime example, Gun.io. I left Gun.io because they did not put the importance of community that I wanted, that I personally wanted. It's the truth. It's the truth. Yes, go ahead.
So when we first got to the recruiter round, the recruiter most likely gonna ask like, are you actively looking? What is the best answer to that without sounding like desperate?
Yeah. Yeah, great question. So she asked basically, how do you not sound desperate to a recruiter? Sound desperate. We want to know you're looking. We want to know that you want a job. This whole like dating in middle school where it's like this game where it's like, I'm into you, but I'm not into you. I kind of like you, but I kind of don't like you. Like, no. If a recruiter says, are you looking? Like, yes, I'm actively looking. I'm very interested in this opportunity. Yep. Okay, great. Then say I'm not actively looking, but this opportunity sounds great and I'd like to pursue. No. No, never.
As a hiring manager, I love to hear that.
Yeah.
If you're not actively looking, but you're interested in the position, I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need a job, you're not getting terminated from a job, you're not a problem, but you are eager to solve new challenges.
And then when they ask like, oh, why are you interested in the company? And then can I be honest, like, oh, I never heard of this company before. but then I got introduced to this opportunity and I researched more.
Yeah, I would know about the company before you hop on a call.
No, I mean, yeah, of course.
Sure.
I researched before I hop on the call, but like, can I be honest, like, oh, I never heard of this company before, like somebody like tell me about it.
Yeah, maybe not say like I've never heard of the company, but I'd maybe be like, hey, like this is a new opportunity that kind of came out of left field for me. But it definitely sounds like it's right up my alley or something like that. Yeah, 100%. What else? We got 8 minutes. I knew this would be the best part of the talk. Yeah, go ahead.
So I noticed something I do during like the recruiter screening interviews. I don't look directly into the camera, right? I try to, I don't know, when I'm like looking off the camera, I speak like more
Better.
Like better.
Yeah.
When I'm looking to the camera, I tend to be, like
Shy.
Yeah.
Nervous.
Yeah, shy or like not come off as like confident.
100%.
Is that a red flag? How do I go about, dealing with that? Do I just need to practice more?
I mean, yeah, you need to practice more. I think. Go ahead, Mark.
Don't plug your ears, okay? There's software now that can redirect your eye contact.
Yeah. Talk to Mark. But I think in today's virtual world, you gotta be good at looking at a camera, not even at the camera. Like, all right, listen, I'm gonna admit something here, and I know all of us do it because it's a meme. I look at myself in the camera all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, my mouth's landed funny, right? So like what I like one of the things I do to help out. So I just was on a podcast with Shruti Kapoor, and love her to death. And what I did to like try to stay focused, this sounds awful, is I shrunk the screen and moved it as close to the camera as possible. So I was just looking at myself. I told you I'm gonna be real here. So, but get comfortable. And then if you want to use AI software to fake your eyes, talk to Mark. All right. Yeah.
I can actually speak to this. I had a client one time that had to record talking to a camera, and the only way that she could talk to the camera without like messing up or whatever is I had to get a teleprompter and redirect the video feed from the camera so that she could look directly at herself, but into the lens to record her videos.
Yeah.
And it was like magic.
Yeah.
So do what Taylor did.
Yeah. So basically make it to where you can only see yourself in the camera. Yeah. Yeah. They don't know. Yes.
Quick question. I think back in my days, I spent a lot of time on social media because Nick is a lot of people, so I know a lot of Fergie friends and stuff.
Sure.
But it took a lot of time, so it felt like its own job. So what is a proper amount of time we should be spending? Because you can spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, people.
Yeah.
You still have to work.
Yeah.
So what is a healthy amount of, because it just wore me out.
Does anybody hear that question? Basically, how to balance networking and social media? Listen, this is a very individualized question, right? Like that's my job, right? Like I am on it all the time. Like literally Patrick called me out today. He goes, can you please put your phone down? Because I'm trying to put you in a shot and you look distracted, right? I'm always on my phone, right? So it is going to be an individual conversation that you need to have with yourself, your plus one, in terms of what this looks like. And I think it goes through seasons. If you're actively on the job search, I would talk with your plus one and be like, hey, I'm going to be double down on my phone right now with LinkedIn, with Twitter to really kind of like network. But I will tell you this, I think if you want to give yourself a balance, either have it to where you are on your phone at a certain time of day and like delete the apps, because I'm pretty sure with Apple you can like have like different screens or stuff with like different apps on it. You could do that. But I think it's going to be an individual battle that you're going to have to solve. But in my opinion, if you struggle with social media apps already, like I do, delete them and just have the essentials, which is Blue Sky and LinkedIn. Okay. Again, I can't give you a silver bullet answer here, but that's what I would do.
I also.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna because I struggle with time blocking.
Yes.
But space blocking works for me. So it's
Explain that.
So in the same way, if you're working from home, if you work in your bedroom, you're always stressed about and anxious about work when you're sleeping because you work from your bed.
Okay. Interesting.
That intermixing of space and what that means contextually. What helped for me is if I'm on my phone, I'm doing digital or work stuff, that's a zone, and then all my social activities are in public spaces. So I'm running, I'm outside, I'm doing something. And that keeps me from brain rotting to the maximum on all these apps all the time.
Okay. I like that. That's interesting. I've never heard that. That's interesting. Ooh, I like that. You got one in the left pasture and one in the right pasture.
If I'm writing content for myself, I'll go sit on my patio where I can see my farm and see all my animals because I'm just I'm in my zen place.
Feel that. Yeah, feel that. I love that. I love that. What else? What was it? Yes.
So
you look great, by the way. Great jacket. You came dressed for success. I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
So I love my current job.
Okay.
But I still want to put my face out there.
Sure.
And also at the same time, I'm a junior.
Okay.
6 months of experience.
Love it. I wouldn't say as junior. I'd say as entry.
How do you put yourself out there without it looking suspicious from both the context of your current employer
Sure.
and your prospective employer?
Man, that's where content comes in, dude. Documenting what you're doing, what you're learning, even at work. I got a job at Torque because of what I documented at Gun.io.
Are you documenting more so just side projects? Or are you documenting?
Oh, I'm documenting what I'm doing at work. My post a day or two ago was what our team's doing. Yeah.
Whatever big problem you get into, and you're we got passionate, because you're not only going to be passionate about it, but it's going to be fresh in your mind. And then you're going to have this new approach or new vision, right? And it might not be you, maybe other devs have done it, but at least if you're speaking to, I solve this challenge, then someone can later be like, oh, that guy's a problem solver. He gets it.
Yeah.
As long as you didn't sign an NDA.
Well, don't tell everything.
Yeah. I'm not saying my boss yelled at me today, but yeah.
Don't make it hackable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, we got 2 minutes. Yes.
But even under NDA, you can say oh, I had to look into graph traversal stuff today. You can say stuff like that, just not go into specific.
Yeah.
And what I do is I post pictures of my desk setup and a little blurb of what I'm looking at or the documentation I'm looking at. And then streaming has been really big for me. You can work on side projects, you can just talk about what you're doing. You can even just talk about post pictures of your dogs or something. Because it's also wanting to build a personal connection with people.
Cows.
Kids, pets, food.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
So I just wanted to ask this question because I got laid off in August.
Okay.
And my question is, whenever I network with people, they always ask me, what do I do? So I kind of want to have an advice from everyone, what advice, what should I say? Because I'm kind of tired of saying I got laid off.
Sure.
And it's it's the same story and I'm tired. And some people kind of disregard you.
Sure.
You tell them hey, you got laid off, So some people push you to the side, you don't contribute.
Yeah.
Bring value.
Yeah, I would just real quick. I would say specifically I'm currently looking for work and here's what I want to do. Right, because the thing is people need to know what you want to do right now. I'm sorry. So I would just say, I'm currently looking for work, but here's what I'd love to do, or here's what I want to do. Does anybody else have thoughts around that? Yes, Tessa.
I wouldn't even say anything about looking for work or anything in the beginning. I'd be I do X. And whatever it was you used to do, whatever it was you want to do, whatever it is that is your passion, whatever defines you. You need your personal elevator pitch. What's this 30-second, here's who I am, here's what I'm good at, here's what I'm capable of.
All right.
And as that conversation goes on, then you can come.
It's 4:30 and I want to be respectful. Guys, I love y'all. This was great. Let's talk. I will be outside. If anybody has any more questions, I will answer them.
I feel like I have to apologize. When you did the bit, I made it as awkward as possible.
No, you're good, brother. You're good. I figured you were doing that. Thank you, sir.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
Actually, in fact, I want to have suggestion as well. I've noticed that a lot of jobs on LinkedIn, they are fake. So I
I
was
know.
helping somebody
I know.
about applying them.
Yep.
So I one thing I noticed or I suggested that person is go and check on the company website.
Yes.
Because that's the right way to
Go check on LinkedIn. Go check the company website. Go and see if there's real people that are actually like on the LinkedIn. Yeah, because there's a lot of fake jobs out there.
Yeah,
A lot of
because
fake jobs.
Even on company job sites, like once you apply, you will get an email immediately like, okay, it's
Yeah.
done, and they are not looking for, because people are lazy at
Oh,
deleting the
100%. Yeah.
job
100%. 100%. So I love it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. What's up, dude? Darren, what's up, man? I want to be respectful. Is a speaker? Do I have a speaker in after this or not?
No.
Oh, shit. We could have kept going. All right. Well, okay. What's up, man?
So you said follow-up is everything, and I want to ask,
Yeah.
how much follow-up is too much? Like if I.
Oh, damn. That's a great question. Yeah. I wish we
asked
should have. Yeah, you should have asked that.
Oh, okay.
Follow up, I think, like it takes me sometimes 3 or 4 DMs to respond back to somebody, but I think it's all the messaging, right? So the first messaging is, hey, so-and-so, we'd love to talk to you about this. They didn't get back to you. Hey, so-and-so, listen, I know you're crazy busy. We'd love to chat with you. Third DM's like, hey, this is probably my last time on